Everyone else woke up with a knife and a panel of warnings. I woke up as Ye, the only man in a 49-woman convoy, stranded on the Sansi Highway, where dried choruses chase every vehicle at 10 kilometers an hour, and being caught means death. Then my S-rank hint talent came online and every upgrade path lit up in front of me. Within 50 days I had welded the convoy's bicycles into a super combined electric-assisted car, awakened Nang Chu's water element affinity with a single sapphire, and buried Seo Woom's bandit cave under 3 oil drums and a wall of fire. 49 women, 1 driver, 1 road, and nothing on it could catch us. Before we go any further, like the video and subscribe. The channel runs on you. Before any of that landed, I was nothing. Let me start there. A cold system prompt scrolls across my vision, welcoming me to Sansi Highway Survival, telling me to start my Fury Road. It says every adult over the age of 18 worldwide is now in this survival game, that each convoy is 50 people randomly grouped, that 1 hour after departure monsters will start their pursuit at a starting speed of 10 kilometers per hour, and that being caught means death. The desert is harsh, the panel tells me, but I could upgrade my shared bicycle along the way. The convoy will pass stations, ruins, and oases where I can decide whether to go in and look for surprises. Survival, the prompt warns, begins in 10 minutes, and right now I cannot move. The countdown starts. A wave of heat hits me along with the sharp scent of perfume. I open my eyes, and the office computer I was just doing overtime on is gone. Instead, a woman in yoga pants is bent over directly in front of me, her rear sticking out so close to my face that for one stupid second I think it is a massive peach. I try to turn and find I cannot move anything below my neck. Around me stretches a strip of grayish concrete highway, baking white under a sun that has no mercy in it. Beyond the road sits an endless ocean of yellow sand that swallows the horizon, dunes rising and falling like waves frozen mid-crash. Sansi Highway Survival. 50 people per group. Monsters coming. The information slides into place, and a part of me notes with a sour kind of humor that at least I will not be doing overtime tonight. I have 1 minute to check out my teammates. A crying voice rises somewhere nearby complaining that the ground is scalding. Another woman begs the first one to please get off her hair. A third sobs that she was in the bathtub one moment and dumped into this hellhole the next. I twist my head toward the sound and see a snow-white woman lying flat on her back on the road. No clothes. Foam still drying on her skin. Wet hair plastered across her chest. Faint steam already rising off her where she touches the burning concrete. A high-pitched voice tries to cheer the group up, saying that everyone here seems to be girls, which is at least good news for personal safety. Almost at the same time, another voice nearly screams the opposite, asking how the hell a team of women is supposed to survive this. I finally clock it. Every face turned my way is female. Tall, short, slim, heavy, long hair, short hair, curly hair, some still in pajamas, one in a full Ganyu cosplay, one in a sharp office suit, and counting the yoga pants girl still innocently bent over in front of me, there are exactly 49 of them. My vision dims at the edges. The sky has, in the most literal sense, fallen on top of me. If this were a normal day on Earth, this would be the scenery of a dream. But this is a team survival game, the kind where you actually die, and anyone who has ever played a competitive game knows what an all-female team means. It is not that there are no strong women, it is that you are statistically guaranteed to be the pack mule, and 49 pack mule passengers instead of 4 is a different category of disaster. This is a beautiful, sparkling, fatal sinkhole of a roster. I would honestly take 49 gay muscle men over this, I think to myself. And then the panel slides another wave of bad news across my eyes. Current desert temperature 40 degrees, expected to climb to 55 by afternoon. Ground temperature 46. Assigned to convoy 341. Current population 50. The survival has not even begun, and I am already half a corpse. Then the next prompt blinks in. 3 minutes to countdown. A starter shared bicycle for each of us has been prepared. 100 meters ahead. 50 bikes in total. Transport can be damaged and also repaired and upgraded. The first novice supply station, 5 kilometers out, holds 50 talent crystals, ranging from S rank to F rank. First come, first served, each crystal grants a single talent. Down the road, the bicycles wink into existence in tidy rows, silver gray frames trembling in the heat shimmer. S rank. My eyes light up like I have been jabbed with adrenaline. Suddenly, 49 female teammates is a wonderful thing. Then I notice 49 pairs of eyes have all swung onto me, every one of them tagging the lone male as the threat to beat. A middle-aged woman in a shirt and trousers shouts to the others that they have to block me before the start, that they cannot let me get to a bike first, that no man can be allowed to take the lead. A calmer young voice argues the opposite, that the strongest member should lead the team. Another woman in pajamas agrees, comparing me to the male lion in a pride. The middle-aged woman sneers and lectures them that male lions never hunt, that the lionesses do all the dirty work, that if I take first place I will turn around and enslave them, and she drops her voice just loud enough to be heard, then violate them. The Ganyu cosplayer joins in, breathless, saying I might use them as sex slaves and then throw them to the zombies, because that is how it goes in the novels. My mouth twitches. What in the world are kids reading these days? But I get it. The game has started, and from this second on it is cooperation or confrontation, trust or betrayal. I have to break this little alliance before it hardens. I take a deep breath of the burning air and pitch my voice as calm as I can. I tell the ladies to please settle down first. I tell them that even if I do take first place, I am 1 out of 50, and one talent on one person cannot survive this kind of place. I level a finger at the middle-aged woman and ask her plainly why. If she is so worried, she is standing at the very front of the line where she could never block me anyway. I ask whether she wants the rest of them to be her shield to take out a competitor so she can quietly snag first herself. My eyes move across the wavering faces, and I tell them that sowing division at the moment a 50-person team is forming is not a survival strategy, that the monsters are at our backs and the desert is in our front, and that the only way talents reach their maximum effect is in coordination. I ask who agrees with united survival and fair competition. I ask who opposes. There is a beat of silence. Then the calmer woman says she thinks it makes sense. The one in pajamas says surviving first is the most important thing. A fashionably dressed woman tosses out a cynical comment about women being selfish and full of hidden motives, but she does not actually back the middle-aged one. The wind starts blowing the other way. I do not need everyone in my pocket. I just need the majority neutral. The system counts down. 3, 2, 1. Action restrictions lifted. I shoot off the line like a spring uncoiling. The middle-aged woman lunges for my arm and I shove her aside without slowing, slip past her, and pour everything I have into the sprint. Behind me, a chaos of yelps and clattering frames breaks out. Women tripping in pajamas. Women shrieking at the heat off bare bicycle seats. Women without shoes hopping in pain. I vault onto the front bike, grit my teeth against the scalding seat, and drive the pedals down so hard the gears whine. Sweat soaks through my back in seconds. I crouch low, breathe steady, and pick a careful line around the drifting sand on the road. Falling here means injury, and injury here means elimination, or death. I keep this pace for about 20 minutes before I see the target, a bare concrete bus shelter half swallowed by the dunes, sitting alone on the left side of the highway. I confirm nothing is moving around it, drop the bike and rush in. On the model bench sit 50 crystal balls the size of small marbles, glowing in dim mismatched colors. Dead center, a single one shines faintly gold. S rank. My heart slams against my ribs. I grab it and information pours into my head. S rank talent. Hint. I do not even have time to read the full notes before I scan the rest, picking out the purple A rank balls and the blue B ranks and confirming the inferior ones, while sporadic huffing and the rattle of bikes start arriving from behind. I tell the gold crystal to activate. It dissolves into starlight in my palm and pours into me, and a deeper layer of the talent's information settles in my mind. I reach for the A rank next and the panel cuts me off, telling me each survivor confused with exactly one. My eyes flash. I peel off my sweat-soaked jacket, spread it on the bench, sweep every remaining crystal into it regardless of rank, knot the whole thing into a bulging bundle, and bolt back out to the bike. I drop the bundle into the basket. I have just changed my mind. 1 S rank against 49 probable deadweights on a road this cruel will not be enough. I need to filter and feed the useful teammates and trim the dead weight, and these talent crystals are the best bargaining chips I am going to get. Whoever obeys, whoever earns it, gets a better talent. Whoever doesn't can fend for herself. I get back on the bike and turn toward the women now pedaling up out of breath, hot wind dragging my damp hair across my forehead. I raise a hand and let my voice carry. Everyone stop, I tell them. Do not come closer. I pat the bundle in the basket and tell them the talent crystals are all here with me. The middle-aged woman shrieks that this is exactly what happens when nobody listens to her. The others look angry, scared, calculating. I am not flustered. I keep my voice level. I tell them I have a real reason, and I will lay it out so they can agree. I tell them my talent is S rank, hint, and that it lets me know which talent is the best match for which person. I tell them this is how a team like ours can reach its full strength, and how each of them can end up matched to the talent that actually suits her, so that an F rank in the right hands might outdo a B rank in the wrong ones. I tell them this is only a proposal, that if they hate it, I will scatter the crystals on the spot, and they can each fend for themselves, and that we will put it to a vote of hands and go with the majority. I am, of course, hoping they all come along. But I cannot have it look like one man's decree. If anything sours later, I would have to eat all the blame for a unilateral call. Democracy it is. Hands go up one at a time. The calmer women lead, then more, then the holdouts look around and quietly raise their arms too. Even the middle-aged woman's mouth twitches before she shoves her hand into the air with a glare. The vote carries. I do not waste another second, because nobody can stand under this sun much longer. I pull out the first A-rank ball, purple, and let everyone see the strange light it throws. I tell them this one is called Healing, an absurdly strong A-rank talent, capable of repairing almost any injury. Then I look around at the girls. Every time my eyes land on one, a private prompt pops up beside her, visible only to me. The first names a Yu Chun-ri as a very excellent healer choice. The second names a Wan Hong as excellent and likely to feel grateful. The third names Dong Yan, the yoga pants Chunibyu girl from before, as a very excellent healer with gratitude and a real chance she will commit her loyalty to me. I do not even hesitate. I point straight at Dongyan and tell her she is the right fit. She blinks, points at herself in disbelief, and only after I nod does she half skip forward and take the purple crystal in both hands. Under everyone's watching eyes, she activates it. Purple sparks dissolve into her skin, and a second later she turns and announces solemnly that I was not lying, that the number of uses on this talent is tied to her spirit attribute, and that her spirit is 20 points, the highest of the 4 base stats. Quiet comparisons murmur through the crowd. Mine is 10, mine is 13. Yu Chunrei admits hers is also 20, her face complicated, but Dongyan's other 3 stats, strength, speed, and constitution, are all at 11, comfortably above the group average, and that settles it. The choice is undeniable. On top of that, Dongyan and I are strangers who have never spoken, and she was one of the girls who slandered me as a pervert earlier, and I still gave her the best ball based on the prompt. That tells the rest of them what kind of fairness they can expect. I tell Dongyan to go heal everyone who fell or burned. She nods and trots over to the naked woman who has been baking on the concrete like squid on a teppan, and who looks as bad as anyone can look without being dead. Her skin is blistered, charred in places, her back a sheet of sunburn red, her bottom too damaged to walk on. Dongyan kneels and a pure white light flows out of her palms, and right there in front of us the swelling goes down. The blisters flatten, dead skin slows off, and clean new skin shows underneath. The woman, whose name I learned is Song Ah, moves her body in disbelief and says she feels much better, that it really is healed, and then her joy buckles under sudden mortification as she realizes she still has nothing on. Dongyan, grinning, runs a hand along Song Ah's now glowing back and praises her skin like a sister teasing a sister, and the cluster of women around them laughs and breaks the tension. The atmosphere shifts. I move on. The second A rank, I tell them, is luck, and the holder will dodge some risks, find more resources at better rates, and even encounter fewer monsters. My eyes sweep the crowd and settle, by hilarious coincidence, on the snow-white woman herself. Song Ah's cheeks burn red, she bites her lower lip, and walks forward braced for the staring. I let myself enjoy the moment for half a beat, suppress a smile, then pull out my coat from around the remaining crystals and hand it over so she can cover up. For an instant, the rest of the crystals are exposed, brilliant in the sunlight, and the middle-aged woman's eyes go red with envy. She suddenly lunges to snatch the loose purple ball from my hand. I am ready. I plant a kick into her and put her on the ground. 3 strikes and you are out, I tell her flatly. This is my last warning. There is no joke in my voice. Meeting my eyes, she shrinks down to the silence of a winter cicada, her resentment swallowed by fear. The interruption does not break my rhythm. It builds my authority instead. I move through the rest of the crystals without pause, and at the end 3 more women come up with B ranks. The first is a Nang Chu, in suit jacket and black stockings, a fund manager by profession, capable type. Her talent is water elemental enhancement, the ability to pull a small amount of drinking water out of thin air. The second is the English major college student everyone is calling Lowly, in a short white skirt who has drawn speed enhancement, a short burst of high speed with a passive bonus to her speed stat. The third is the yoga pants girl herself, a yoga instructor who introduces herself as Na Bing and even wags a finger at me in greeting. Her talent is called Old Driver, and it gives a passive bonus to every kind of driving. I lay out the final tally for everyone. 1 rank, 2A ranks, 3B ranks, 4C ranks, 8D ranks, 12E ranks, 20F ranks. We have stalled enough. Time to ride. Soon the convoy is rolling again. Everyone is still strung out, but the air has shifted, because everyone now has a talent and everyone has a rough read on everyone else. Yellow sand, scorching sun, an endless concrete road. Na Bing and I trade off at the head of the line to break the wind. I have the body of a regular exerciser, and I can hold the front. Na Bing has her Old Driver talent, which halves her stamina drain on a bike and automatically improves her form, so she is steadier than I am even though I am the man. We do not push too hard. Pace has to suit the weakest in the group behind us, and we have to think about stamina hours ahead, not minutes. I am soaked in sweat almost immediately. Thank God for the bikes. If we had to walk this in these conditions, I doubt anyone would last 10 minutes. I once read a news story about people stranded by a broken-down car in the Lopner Desert. They tried to walk out, they all died, and they died fast, and the one who got the furthest only made it 5 or 6 kilometers from the wreck. Modern people overestimate their stamina and underestimate the desert. When the bodies were found, they looked half-cooked, some with feet so dehydrated they looked like dried corpses. And that was just an ordinary Earth desert. This one is worse. Half an hour in and the environment starts collecting payment. A girl with weaker constitution sways and topples off her bike. A textbook heatstroke collapse, the kind that turns lethal in minutes if nobody steps in. I bark for Dongyan to stop and heal her, for Nang Chu to spray water for her to drink. Together they pull her back from the edge in about 10 seconds, but the cost is that both Dongyan and Nang Chu are visibly more tired. Talent use has its own toll. I would carry Dongyan to spare her, but these stingy shared bikes have no back seat. Everyone keep up, I start to call out, and a gust of wind blows a mouthful of sand into my throat instead. Beside me, Nang Chu watches my mess of a face, glances down at her own black stockings, sweat soaked and sand glued to her legs, and after a small hesitation bends down, rips a slit at the thigh, and tears off a long strip. Her cheeks flush as she holds it out and tells me, if I do not mind, to use it as a face mask it should help. I take it without hesitation, thank her, and tie it across my face like a western cowboy. No room here for being fussy. With a little water sprinkled on it, the strip blocks the wind and sand and keeps my mouth and nose out of the worst of the scorch, and my whole face feels saner immediately. Seeing the effect, Nang Chu tears off the rest of the stockings, makes 6 masks in total, and hands them to the riders at the front and to Dongyan, who needs to be able to speak. When she tries to give one to Na Bing smiles mysteriously and waves it off, saying the mask should go to someone who needs it more, because she has her own. While we watch, she stops her bike, turns her back, reaches into the waistband of her yoga pants, fishes around, and pulls out a pair of light-colored lace panties so thin they look like cicada wings. This material, she informs us with a calm face, is lighter and breathes better, and makes a fine temporary mask too. She unfolds them, settles them over her head so they cover her mouth and nose, sprinkles a little water on, and rides on. I stare for a long second, then silently give her a thumbs up. This is the most useful episode involving a pair of panties I have ever witnessed in my life. Inspired by Nang Chu, the other 4 girls in stockings start tearing theirs too, and within minutes half the team is masked. The rest, blushing, follow old driver Na Bing's example and donate their own intimate apparel. And suddenly, the convoy is wearing every color and style of lightweight fabric across every face. It looks ridiculous, and it works, and survival has overruled embarrassment. Unbelievable, I tell Na Bing through my own mask, that so many of you are wearing such flashy things. Na Bing rides up alongside, her old driver talent leaving her with energy to spare, and explains that women do not pick their underwear only for looks, that the material and breathability matter, that staying dry and clean prevents infections, which is not something a guy like me would worry about. I do not have the breath left to argue. After the brief interlude, the heat rolls back in like a tide. An hour later, every breath feels like inhaling fire. The road ahead warps and twists in the heat haze. Sweat pours off me as if it were free, evaporating before it can hit the ground, leaving white salt crust behind on my skin. The temperature on the panel keeps climbing. 45 in the air, 51 on the ground. Still convoy 341, still 50 of us. In 1 hour, the climb has been brutal. My eyelid twitches. Thank God for Dongyan and Nang Chu, healer and water girl, the most precious combination this desert could ask for. 7 or 8 people have fainted along the way, but every one of them got back on a bike, and miraculously, nobody has fallen off the convoy. Even so, every person here is now at her physical and mental limit, and the moans and sobs are starting to spread, women crying that they cannot pedal anymore, that their skin feels like it is splitting from the burn. Hold on, I tell them, voice rasping with thirst. My talent puts the next oasis at 5 kilometers. There will be water, there will be shade. The hint talent is a quiet miracle. Without it, we would be grinding forward with no goal, and morale would crumble. The moment they hear a number, the convoy lifts. 20 minutes later, I drag myself up a long uphill slope ahead of the others and crest it. Below, a tear-pulling sweep of emerald comes into view. A small lake set like a sapphire dropped into a sea of gold, ringed by low drought shrubs and a few dozen leaning palms throwing precious patches of shade. The water shimmers and ripples, and I almost cheer out loud. Behind me, the screams of joy break out as the others spot the oasis, and the convoy musters its last reserves to charge down the dune. Wait, I shout, throwing my arms wide. Everyone stop. They freeze in confusion. The prompt only I can see hovers above the trees. Super small oasis. Fresh water. Food. Stone. Wood. A small amount of upgrade parts. Lurking under the sand at the oasis edge. 1 desert-dried corpse, combat power roughly an adult male. Sluggish claws and teeth carry corpse poison. Infection causes muscle stiffness and mental confusion. Nang Chu, hearing my warning, suggests we go around. Her water talent has kept her in better shape than anyone else, and her thinking is fast. Dongyan shoves back at once, pointing out that this oasis is barely 1,000 square meters from end to end, that even a full detour to enter from the other side is not really shorter. And what if we waste the effort and the monster simply hops the lake to meet us? Song-ah says quietly that she cannot detour at all, that the sand is too hot and she has no shoes, that her feet will cook through. The vote settles itself. We fight. I am not about to back down. The monster has the strength of 1 adult male, and there is no reason I cannot face that down, and leaving it in the sand to ambush future passersby is its own problem. But I need help. Going alone is stupid. I ask for volunteers. The whole group goes silent. They are women. They have never roughhoused much in their lives, and right now they can barely stand. Instinct keeps every hand down. Dongyan screws up her courage and raises hers. I look her over. She is barely 1.60 m, and I shake my head. She is the healer. The healer stays behind, because if the healer dies, the whole team dies. Loli says nervously that she will go, that her B-rank speed talent is the only combat-flavored ball we have. so she has no real choice. Na Bing offers next, saying her stamina is still solid. Nang Chu offers too. Song Ah finally asks if anyone can lend her shoes, because within 100 meters she can throw a luck aura that at least keeps people from being one-shotted. The team picks itself, with me leading Nang Chu, Lo Li, Na Bing as wings, and Song Ah and Dong Yeon trailing as support. The rest of the group will swarm too. With this many people, all I have to do is pin the thing, and a kick from each of them trampling forward will mash it into the sand. After a short rest to recover, I find myself a high-heeled shoe to use as a weapon and walk to the road edge closest to the oasis. The water is 100 meters out, and that 100-meter strip of sand is almost certainly where the dried corpse is lying in wait. The moment we step in, we are within ambush range. My hint does not activate when I scan, but the knowledge of the monster is already there, so rushing in blind would be the dumbest move possible. I call over two girls, one with a smell talent and one with hearing. Their talents are not strong, but they are exactly what this needs. I edge along the sand line and let them focus. Smell catches nothing. Hearing, through a shoe pushed into the sand, picks up a very faint friction sound. As I walk, it slides with me. That is our monster, moving underground. Knowing roughly where it is, the rest is straightforward. Loli, with her speed talent, volunteers to take my place at the bait. She walks back and forth along the sand line like a person fishing. The dried corpse takes the bait. Even with the speed talent and the hearing girl's callouts, she is a beat too slow. A withered hand explodes out of the sand and locks onto her calf. She screams for help. I am ready and yank her by the arm. Loli comes flying back onto the concrete, and the dried corpse comes flying with her. I bring the high-heeled shoe down on its head with everything I have. The hard metal heel turns out to carry critical hit and piercing properties, and the strike punches clean through the shriveled skull. The thing does not let go. It tries to bite her even with its head pierced. Panic rises, and I hit it harder, until the heel snaps off. Then I drop the shoe and start stomping. Nain Shu screams the order for everyone to pile on, and the whole group rushes in. A barrage of kicks falls on the monster. The dried corpse, ridiculously, is kicked to death by raw enthusiasm. Its limbs come off, its head is trampled flat, its severed hand is still gripping Loli's calf. I pry the dead fingers off and find a black handprint on her leg, the skin already rotting in weeping black blood. Loli is babbling, terrified, telling me she does not want to die because she is still a virgin, and she has not even found a man yet. The poison is clearly chewing through her clarity. Then she grabs my hand and pleads with me to please let her experience it before she dies. To kiss her, just quick. Please, fuck. I crouch next to her with my best long-suffering expression and tell her she is not going to die. I did not realize this poison made people speak their true feelings. I add to nobody in particular. Dong Yan, complaining the whole way, reaches over, touches the wound, and lights up her healing. Within seconds, Loli is normal again. She blinks, sits up, asks what happened, then remembers and checks her calf and breathes out a sigh of relief. Dong Yan asks innocently whether she remembers what she just said. Loli looks bewildered. What did I say? Wasn't I just calling for help? Then she turns and thanks everyone with a grateful face, especially Dong Yan, because without her she might really have died. Nobody corrects her. We let her have it. Loli plays it perfectly calm afterward, but of course she has to. She cannot exactly own up to begging me to kiss her in front of the entire convoy, and inside she is dying of shame, wishing she could faint on the spot. Every time her eyes flick toward me, she nearly loses her composure. She tells herself fiercely that she is not actually that pent up, that it was all the dried corpse toxin talking. Lucky for her, everyone is too giddy about the oasis to dig into her weird behavior. The moment I confirm Loli is fine, the group breaks for the lake at a sprint. I do not lag. I run the last stretch and dive in. It is shallow, but the water is clear, and when I taste it, it is fresh. I gulp it down like a thirsty dog. Nain Chu has been spraying water along the way, but the amount is limited, and we have all been kept in that ugly state of constantly thirsty and just shy of dehydrated. As the water pours into my burning throat, the coolness is beyond words. This is amazing. I drink my fill and flop down in the shade of the trees on the shore. Lying in the shade like this feels close to divine. The others are in roughly the same state, either soaking in the lake or collapsed on the bank. Dong Yan ends up sprawled next to me, her clothes drenched and clinging, the wet fabric outlining her curves. And when I turn my head, I catch a flash of pale skin. She turns at the same moment. Our eyes meet. She freezes, then flushes and pulls her collar together and softly thanks me. I ask what for. She thanks me for giving her the A-rank healing crystal, because without it she would have struggled, and she would not be this welcome on the team. She admits, quietly, that she is actually pretty cowardly, just an ordinary person with no real skills. I tell her not to talk like that by my talent she was the right pick. She shakes her head and points out that being the right pick does not mean she would have gotten the crystal, that her physical strength was only upper middle in the group, and she would never have won a sprint. She knows perfectly well that her talent is mine to thank for, and there is also the part she does not say out loud, which is that another girl in the group also had 20 spirit and was very pretty with a great figure, and I could have given the ball to her without anyone questioning it, but I chose Dong Yan. She promises she will pay me back, and I tell her not to make it transactional, that we are all in the same boat now and helping each other is just good policy. Mutual help between friends. Mutual help between friends, she repeats, face still flushed. She is gathering up the courage to say more, when Nang Chu calls everyone to pack up, find resources, and prepare to roll, because the monsters will catch up if we linger. The oasis is small enough to take in at a glance. I jump up and call out that nobody should move yet, that we should let Song Ah find the resources. Our lucky star's turn. The others agree at once, and someone points Song Ah at an old abandoned tent that has been almost completely swallowed by yellow sand. Song Ah is wearing my jacket and nothing else useful. No pants, no shoes, walking barefoot on the cooler ground under the trees. The jacket is just long enough to cover her bottom, but her long legs are still bare. She would care on a normal day. Today, nobody has the strength to care. She walks over to the tent, too tired to bend, kneels, and tugs it open. Everyone goes quiet, eyes locked on her. She starts pulling items out, and a cheer rises every time she does. Bottled water, canned food, an iron pickaxe, an axe. When she drags a whole crate of canned cola out, the cheering peaks because everyone is desperate for sugar after that ride. Sugar is the fastest excitement booster ever invented, and a single bottle of cola can be a lifesaver in a pinch. Heavens, this iron ingot is so heavy, Song Ah complains, and the others come to help her. Dong Yan touches the ingot and gasps that it is good stuff. It can upgrade the bicycles. My god, upgrade them quickly, someone wails, because her bottom is about to split open. In a few minutes, the whole stash is piled in the shade. A solid haul, 150 bottles of mineral water, 100 cans of fish, 5 crates of canned cola, 50 corn and chicken sausages, 20 crude iron ingots, 2 rolls of copper wire, about 10 meters total, 2 crates of basic parts, 2 lithium batteries, 2 walkie-talkies, 1 dagger. The moment I touch an iron ingot, a prompt rings in my head. Iron ingot. Used to upgrade equipment and vehicles. Place the materials beside the equipment to perform an upgrade. Upgrade paths are diverse. Please explore them yourself. Upgrade paths are not fixed. That is interesting. If I can make my bike less labor-intensive, life will improve immediately, because the thought of pedaling that thing again makes me feel numb all over. I move an ingot next to a bike. The upgrade prompt asks if I want to consume 1 ingot to improve sturdiness and durability. That is it? That is boring. Then a deeper tutorial unfolds in my mind. I stare at the bike, and every component lights up under my gaze. I can upgrade anything I focus on, while the surrounding parts go transparent and out of focus. Gears, lower friction, tires, bigger and anti-puncture, more of them. Bigger frame turn the thing into a tricycle. And if I add lithium batteries as materials, I can even turn it into a power-assisted bicycle. My mouth waters. The prerequisite is materials, of course, and the combinations are so deep they make me dizzy. Resources are limited. Where I upgrade first, what I spend, every choice shapes our progress for a long time. Pick the wrong direction, and we get overtaken by what is coming up behind us. Brother Fei, Dong Yan murmurs, leaning in. The resource allocation and upgrade paths look like a major test, and she has played plenty of games, and bad stat allocation is hell to fix later. I agree. I tell everyone not to rush any upgrades, not to burn resources on impulse, that we will think this through together. I ask Dong Yan to pass the word while I sit down to calculate. Then another prompt pops in. Current possible upgrade paths for personal bicycle, 22 of them. Power saves stamina and boosts individual mobility, but hurts team action efficiency. Loading, more capacity, multi-passenger stability, better for team travel but heavier on the individual. Protection, vehicle defense, helps reach the next stop safely, but costs mobility and stamina. Attack, extra resources spent on weapons, no travel benefit. Choose with care. Power plus loading, both worlds with less downside but more cost. And on and on. The system even tells me the pros and cons of each. This is gold. No trial and error, no detours, I can head straight for the build I want. I feel my shoulders drop. I crack open a can of cola and start reading through them slowly. The carbonation hits with the first sip. The sugar and caffeine slap me awake, and my head clears up for real. I rule out every single stat path immediately. Pouring everything into one direction is too brittle. Power alone makes the bike fast and efficient, but turns its protection and capacity into garbage, and I do not want speed if it kills me from sun exposure halfway through. Certain upgrades are non-negotiable, like adding a sunshade canopy under protection. The best play is multiple paths at once. Power plus loading plus protection plus attack is the optimum if resources are infinite, which of course they are not. After some thought, I picked the path most people would never see without a prompt, the combined upgrade path. The idea is to fuse 2 or more bicycles into one multi-passenger vehicle. I have ridden the 4-person tourist bikes at scenic spots before. They are perfectly real. With this, we maximize the resources we have. The team rises or falls together, and the vehicle's power and range improve massively. It is almost all upside. The downside is that if it breaks, we all stop together, and a major modification is not reversible. Stacked against the upside, that is negligible. On top of that, I cannot help glancing at Song Ah, who is poking around the oasis with a dry branch. With this lucky individual on board, the odds of bad things happening drop hard. If she had her own bike, most of her luck would only protect her ride. On one shared vehicle, her luck effectively shields all of us. And if I sit next to her, the bonus is closer to a lucky charm than a passive talent. Then there is not Bing, our old driver who halves driving consumption. If she ends up driving this thing, the whole team eats that benefit. This is what talent maximization looks like. I make the call, combined with all 49 teammates. Then I do the math and run into a snag. Merging 50 bikes into a double-row monster needs 40 crude iron ingots. We have 20. I could combine 25 first and absorb the rest later, but nobody wants to be in the back half, on a stripped-down shared bike with no upgrades, and the next station may or may not have ingots. The team morale we just built would crater. I know without thinking that this will be opposed fiercely. I would be opposed if I were in the back half, but I cannot afford indecision now. I will at least be as fair as I can. Everyone takes turns riding if needed. Then Song Ah walks up. She has borrowed shoes off someone, which are obviously too big and clatter as she walks. But her face has a smug little smile, and she leans in and tells me she has discovered something. I am still chewing on the upgrade math and answer absently, "What discovery?" She tells me she found a hidden resource pit buried deep, full of crude iron ingots and mining tools. I jerk my head up and ask how many. About 40, she says, lips curling. I burst out laughing and give her a thumbs up. Our lucky girl. I had been bracing to play the villain over resources, and she has erased the whole problem for me. Luck is not fair. With another 40 ingots, not only does the upgrade plan go through, but we have a comfortable surplus. She is a little embarrassed by the praise and admits it was Dong Yan who reminded her to walk around, because she is the lucky one, and she just followed her gut and stepped on a patch of sand at the edge of the oasis that collapsed, exposing an old Ted buried underneath full of these things. Come on, I tell her, take me there, and as it happens I have good news for you too. She turns and immediately trips. The sand at the surface is at least 50 degrees, and she is in nothing but a long coat, and falling like this is no different from sitting on a hot griddle. She hisses, tears in her eyes, biting her lip hard. I catch her at the waist and ask if she is okay. The shoes are too big, she manages. The shoes are too big and she lost her footing. She tries to put weight on her left foot and her knee buckles, the ankle visibly swollen. I tell her not to move, that her ankle is bad. Today's exhaustion has caught up with her legs, and combined with shoes 3 sizes too big, the sprain is severe. Why, she mutters in frustration. Why does my luck bonus not stop me from injuring myself on flat ground? She is now leaning almost her entire weight against me, and her face goes hot when she finally asks, shyly, if I could please carry her over to the resource pit, because she really cannot walk. I have given her the clothes and the talent, and now she has to ask me to carry her, and the math of how much she owes me is not flattering to her. I nod, lift her into a princess carry with one hand under her thighs and the other at her back, and find she is much lighter than expected. Even though her figure is anything but thin, her thighs firm and athletic. The lake bath has washed off any sweat smell, and what I catch instead is a faint scent of something like osmanthus. She feels the warmth from my hands, and her heart goes a little hectic. To kill the silence, she asks about my good news. I tell her about the bicycle merge, that I plan to combine everyone's bikes into one big rig so we can ride in shifts and save a lot of energy. Her face brightens. We finally get a chance to rest, otherwise her body will give out if her mind is not first. I agree. Riding solo for too long really takes a toll. We trade small talk like that the rest of the way back, and by the time I set her down by the supplies, Dong Yan is squatting there eating canned food. She looks up and her eyes widen, the obvious thought written across her face that we only left a minute ago, and I am already carrying Song Ah back. Song Ah quickly explains that she sprained her ankle. Dong Yan leans down to look, sees the swelling, and her face goes thoughtful and confused. No way, she says. The lucky star who finds treasure just by walking actually sprained her ankle, and this badly. After Dong Yan heals her and Song Ah leads me away, Na Bing lounging on the sand, draws that there is a possibility this sprain is actually good luck for Song Ah, that it might be exactly how her luck talent decided to work today. Dong Yan blinks, then her eyes widen as she watches Song Ah walking side by side with me, and her expression turns very thoughtful. Song Ah brings me to the dig site, where people are already moving iron ingots. The terrain is lower here, naturally sheltered from wind, but completely buried by sand, impossible to spot without help. Digging out the surrounding sand, we also find the remains of old campfires. The whole site reads like an abandoned camp. Combined with the iron and pickaxes, it might have been a mining outpost. Sure enough, against a nearby dune, we find a mine entrance. A wooden door stops the sand from pouring in, which means the sand has piled up against it, almost burying it. Without the suspicion and Song Ah's presence, we would never have found it. I peek through the crack. Pitch black, nothing visible. A prompt rises. Mysterious mine, exceptionally complex passages, mysterious underground creatures. My current strength is insufficient, and going in will likely kill me, though there is a small chance of precious gemstones and minerals. I drop the idea immediately. This is meant for combat-focused parties. Not my flavor right now. Still, it reminds me to look for hidden locations at later stations, because once I am stronger, this is the kind of place that pays. By the time I am back from the mine entrance, the convoy has already cleared the dig site. Inventory 40 iron ingots, 5 iron pickaxes, 1 sleeping bag, 2 blankets, 3 flashlights. A real pile, and all of it useful. I gather everyone and lay out the combined modification plan plainly. Fuse all 50 bikes into a single multi-person vehicle. Big advantage, far cheaper in iron than separate upgrades, and to some extent we can share talents. A few of the women trade looks, and one of them speaks up, agreeing on the plan, but asking whether we can modify the seats, add backrests, even build in a bed so people can take turns resting. Her face flushes as she explains quietly that she is on her period and feels rough, and she may need to lie down once in a while. She promises she will not be a slacker, and notes that healing does not fix this. She already had Dongyan try. I am momentarily blank, then nod immediately and tell her the plan is completely feasible, that we happen to have extra iron, and that this is something I would not have thought of on my own. My voice is sincere and a little praising, and the girl who suggested it relaxes, a small smile on her face. That is why I keep telling everyone. Nang Chu cuts in lightly. Please bring up any need, because a guy like me cannot possibly think of all the angles. She glances at me and adds with a knowing flick that I definitely do not realize that with 50 women on this rig, statistically someone is on her period every single day. Everyone freezes, then bursts out laughing. 30 days in a month, and 49 girls on the team. Yeah, that is just math. I laugh too. Nain Chu is a workplace veteran. She knows how to read a room. Under her lead, the discussion opens up. Where to add hooks for hanging things, where storage compartments go, whether to add lights for night travel. The only person who stays silent is Mun Ryong, the middle-aged woman who tried to block me at the start. She stands at the edge of the crowd, expression dim, watching but not speaking, eyes complicated. I file that away for later. Then I begin the modification. Combined upgrade, I order, and the bicycles lined up together start glowing white, the piles of iron ingots painting themselves into the same light. When the light fades, a strange single vehicle stands where the bikes were. 2 seats per row, 25 rows. Every seat has its own pedals and its own handlebar. Only the front pair can steer the wheel. The steering will be terrifying on a thing this long, but the road is empty cement. We are the only vehicle, so it does not matter much. The wows roll through the crowd. I keep going. I add an iron sheet roof against the sun. I add an iron sheet bed in the middle row and another at the end and lay the sleeping bag and blankets onto them. Basic part complete. Now the upgrade modification. The prompt asks if I want to consume 2 lithium batteries, 2 rolls of copper wire, 1 box of basic parts and 2 iron ingots to make the bike electric assisted. Yes, I confirm. A motor bolts itself onto the front near the bottom and an iron box for the lithium batteries appears next to it. The batteries are too few to run for long, so I will hold the electric mode for crisis moments only. I try to add kinetic energy recovery so coasting downhill could charge the batteries, but the prompt says I need copper ingots, more iron, and intermediate parts, which I do not have. I install the flashlights instead. 2 flashlights and 1 basic part for dual front headlights. Perfect. With the last 5 iron ingots I make 5 iron cargo boxes that hang off both sides of the rig. The modification ends. I touch the vehicle to read its specs. Super combined electric assisted bicycle. Mechanical steering, 2 riders at the front control the wheel, steering ability F grade. 50 independent seats with personal pedals and handlebars. Human powered plus electric assist, motor and dual lithium batteries. Human pedaling 0 to 60 kilometers per hour, electric assist 35 kilometers per hour, lasts 5 minutes. Suited for desert cement on flat ground. Modification traits. Team shared talent, all members share certain talents to some degree. Passive. Iron sheet protective roof, blocks the scorching sun. Emergency rest area, 1 iron bed each in the middle and end rows, 1 sleeping bag and 2 blankets. Suited for period or fatigue rest. Expanded storage, 5 iron boxes, 2.5 cubic meters total. Dual front headlights, night vision plus 30 meters. Lighting F grade. Team resource saving, 40% off all team upgrades versus solo. Passive. I look it over and nod, especially happy with the 2 team traits. From now on our convoy has a double bonus in talents and resources. 40% saved across the board. The main shared talent right now is just 1, but it is the right one, luck. As long as you are on this vehicle, you sip a little of Song-A's luck. The probability of bad rolls on future actions drops, which is genuinely comfortable. After loading every supply we found into the vehicle, the group says goodbye to the brief paradise with real reluctance, and we set off again. Na Bing and I sit at the front, 1 on each side, navigator and old driver. The whole rig now runs a shift driving system, swapping every half hour. The pedals rotate by row, half an hour on, then rest. Compared to grinding solo, this is a different planet. Even with more cargo on board, the combined rig has less resistance than 50 separate bikes, and our speed steadies out around 30 kilometers per hour, the sound of wind passing rhythmically over our ears. Still scorching, but composure has crept back onto every face. Only now do I get to eat a real meal. I pop a can of fish, fermented black bean oil filling my mouth with that salty richness, and after the kind of day I have had, this fat and salt combination is heaven. I eat 2 cans in a row, gulp half a bottle of water-cooled cola, and finally exhale a long breath of comfort. The vehicle rolls forward smoothly. Sand dunes ride up and down on both sides, gold under the sun. Beside me, Na Bing holds the wheel with one hand and wipes her forehead with the other, strands of hair stuck to her flushed cheek, swaying gently. From behind me, a rustle and then a peeled corn and meat sausage is quietly offered along the side of my seat. I turn my head and catch Dongyan smiling, waggling the sausage at me without a word. I take a bite from her hand, the sweet salt and meat melting between my teeth, lean back into the seat and let her feed me bite by bite. A breeze blows past carrying laughter, the smell of food, the faint salt of sweat off the people around me. If the road ahead can be like this, someone to lean on, something to share, someone to look out for, then this survival escape is not quite so bad after all. I gaze out at the curve where the dunes meet the blue sky and let that thought sit. Brother Fei, Dongyan murmurs again, handing forward a small black walkie-talkie. Take a look at this. It seems like it can talk to other teams. The people on break are not idle. Everyone is studying the gear we collected. I take the walkie-talkie. San Ah pulled it from the hidden cache. I had assumed it was for in-team chatter, but turning it on lets me pick up signals from other teams. Clearly a piece of special equipment with long-range capacity. I flip the power on and a wall of static greets me, with wind and heavy breathing under it, but no voices. From behind me, Dongyan pokes her head forward and tells me to turn the knob to scan frequencies. Different channels carry different teams. I twist the dial. A raspy male voice cuts through. Hello, this is Team 300. Anyone out there, respond if you hear me. Audibly worn out. I press the talk button. Hello, this is Team 341. The other side bursts out. Whoa, brother. What are you doing? You eating while riding? He has clearly caught the whistling wind and the sound of me chewing. I tell him I am eating a ham sausage and ask how things are on his end. Holy crap, you are actually eating, he says. Your bike riding skills are impressive. Then he gets to the point. Asks if I have any interesting information. Asks to trade. I ask how the trade works. You ask one. I answer one. Then I ask one. You answer fair. All right. I go first. What is the talent distribution on your team? He clicks his tongue and complains that this is the kind of question you only ask if you just got a walkie-talkie, that every team starts the same, one random S rank, then a fixed spread of A through F rank, with F most common. He has confirmed this with multiple teams. And oh, by the way, he snatched the only S rank in his team. Don't I think he is awesome? I pass on awesome and thank him. His turn. How many stations have you passed? He chokes, then laughs helplessly and calls me a bastard. Says he has cleared the third station. Then a little pride creeps in. Am I not impressed at his pace? His next. How do I eat while riding? I tell him I am a passenger right now. Somebody else is riding. A modified vehicle, he says, impressed, and tells me to go. After a few rounds, I have the picture. He is running lone wolf mode. He and a few others who grabbed top talents in his team abandoned the rest, and killed some to escape. Because of it, they travel light and fast, scooping up resources without leaving any trail for those behind. 50 people's worth of resources upgrading one set of bikes makes the things insanely strong. They are already past the third station. I am still on the second. I have the walkie-talkie cranked up, and the front of the convoy can vaguely hear the conversation. For a moment, a lot of my teammates go silent in the face of what he has been doing. Still, he is ahead and knows more. That is undeniable. I trade the hidden cache for one truly useful piece. There is a synthesis platform at the third station. The platform can craft equipment and fuse two similar pieces of gear into a higher tier item, which is a fundamental shift in what a survivor can field. It might be hidden, and it is guarded by 5 to 10 dried corpse guards, with the number depending on the team's overall strength. So the guy has a combat talent, since he managed it. Over 10 minutes vanish in question and answer. Wait. The man says, I hear a woman's voice on your end. You still have female teammates. The sounds of my team chatting along the way have leaked through. I take a sip of water and say yes. He sighs and says he had one too. Then he killed her. She tried to steal his mysterious crystal ball. What is a mysterious crystal ball, I ask, heart skipping, because that is new. Right then, Na Bing shouts that the turn ahead has sand. Everyone get ready to slow down. The man cuts back in, eyes narrowing audibly. Wait, answer me first. Exactly how many teammates do you still have? I heard at least 2 different female voices. That bike of yours really carries this many people. The walkie-talkie goes weirdly intense. I answer straight. All my teammates are still here. Fuck, he barks. That is impossible. You are lying. We agreed to share truthful info. His voice rises. Are you telling the truth? I tell him it is true, that there is no reason to lie about this. He goes silent for 2 seconds, and for some reason gets furiously agitated. Heh, you are a fucking idiot. How far do you think you can go carrying that many people? They are dead weight if you want to play savior and drag them through. Go ahead and wait to die. At that, Dongyan, who has been hating his attitude this whole time, snaps. Who is the idiot? She shouts at the radio. We are doing just fine. Mind your own business. You killed your own teammates and now you are probably lonely and miserable. Or you are scared you cannot solo the next monster fight. Serves you right, no matter how much gear you have, you are walking alone until you die. "Fuck you," he roars, the kind of rage that comes from a real wound. "What the fuck did you just say?" And there is a thud of something slammed onto the ground. "You bitch. The moment our paths cross, I am going to fuck you too." I cut the walkie-talkie off mid-sentence. There is no point in continuing. The man is clearly cracked since killing his teammates, and he cannot stand hearing about anyone else doing well. "Sorry, Brother Fei," Dong Yun mumbles, a little apologetic. Her temper lost us key information. I shake my head. Who knew he was so easy to trigger? She sticks out her tongue. True, that guy is crazy. If she had known, they should have all chorused Brother Fei to make him explode on the spot. Song, listening from beside us, smiles thinly, expression complex, and says quietly that in the end the world is to blame, that they have no real right to mock him. "If it were not for me," she says, "their situation would not be much better. The time everyone got to react was too short. Under extreme panic, people go to extremes, and she figures he probably regretted it after the first impulse, but had no choice but to keep walking the dark road. And now hearing us walk the opposite road broke him." Her words land hard. It is true. If I had not pushed from the start to integrate, set rules, and split resources, this team would already be killing each other for crystals. Even just over supplies, a lot of us would be dead, and the survivors would be mortal enemies. The rest of the team feels even more grateful to me at that thought. That guy shouted one last thing. Nang Chu adds from the third row on the left, that all convoys eventually merge onto one road. Did everyone hear that? She wonders aloud whether it is true or a threat. True or not, I tell her. We can ask around. He is not the only one with intel. I swap shifts with Na Bing, take the wheel myself, and Na Bing takes the walkie-talkie and starts dialing through frequencies. The crackle of static comes and goes, sometimes mixed with smeared voices, and we quickly notice a pattern. Every convoy we can connect to seems to have an identifier starting with 3. Convoy 302, Convoy 333, Convoy 356. This walkie-talkie does not connect everyone, only convoys with nearby numbers. We accidentally bump into the irritable Convoy 300 again, and the moment he hears the familiar female voice, he recognizes us, and a barrage of cursing erupts. Na Bing's face does not move. Her fingertips lightly click the knob and switch to the next channel. After enough experimentation, we confirm that contactable teams cycle within the 300 to 399 range. Even so, the information is plenty rich. Synthesizing what we have, one key thing comes into focus. At the 4th station, all convoys converge onto the same road. The implication writes itself. Conditions differ for the others, though. Some report higher temperatures, others report strong winds. That last inconspicuous detail snags my attention. Strong winds need caution, and if a sandstorm hits, a sandstorm in the desert filled with sand and stones like bullets can kill people for real. Can someone really move that fast? Dongyeon asks, already at the 4th station. I tell her it might be an acceleration talent or a power system fully min-maxed at every cost, and add that pure speed is not necessarily a good thing. They are not rushing to be reincarnated. In my view, the optimal play is to scrape every station clean and maximize utility. As long as we keep distance from the monsters behind us, we have plenty of time to rest at an oasis, which is safer than racing ahead. Then I reconsider. That is only optimal for my team. For a lone wolf or for a convoy poisoned with internal suspicion, the way to survive is to hit the next station before your teammates and monopolize the resources. Another hour disappears. A prompt blinks for me. 20 kilometers to the next station. Ancient village ruins. Roughly half an hour out, Dongyun says, with a hint of anticipation, what will the next station look like? Song panting as she pedals hard, hopes there is water. She is sticky all over and miserable. The convoy is on shifts, but the ones on duty still pour everything in, because vehicle speed has to be as fast as possible to widen the gap with the monsters, leaving more time for searching and resting at the next station. The ideal is to stay long at stations and move fast on the road. There probably will not be much water, I tell her, looking back. Maybe none. Her bath plan may fall through. I notice Song has somehow used the dagger to modify her loose jacket, cutting the fabric into strips and wrapping her chest like bandages, the rest of her skin exposed. The modification is clever, looks good, cools her down, does not hinder movement. A fine urban beauty now wearing the bold air of a wilderness adventurer. Glancing back, plenty of other women have made similar adjustments, the team's outfits all evolving toward utility first. Nobody throws away the cut fabric. Everyone packs it away carefully. No telling whether we will get more clothes later. And if their current clothes get destroyed, even sun protection could become a problem on future explorations. No way. Song-A moans, her chest rising and falling, sweat sliding down her neck into the gaps of the wrapped fabric. I grip the wheel and explain. Has she noticed we have been on a slow uphill the whole way? The terrain is rising. Underground rivers and lakes do not survive in places like this. The next stretch of road is likely a more arid pocket of the desert. We have to reserve fresh water and save wherever we can. She says, looking up at me. You know so much. Not really, I tell her. It relates to my major. I studied geology in college. That is useful, she says. Can I tell what is going on with this world's desert? I can read surface only, I muse, but this is another world, very different from Earth. Hard to say how much of my knowledge applies. If this is a planet, we are in the southern hemisphere right now. Moreover, this planet is extremely arid, and most of it is probably desert. How do I know that, she asks. The vortices, I tell her. Draining water rotates clockwise in the southern hemisphere if there is no external interference, and the little dust devils forming outside are doing the same. I share a bit of pop science, but I suspect it does not help us much right now. Then I sigh, eyes drifting over the dunes where small whirlwinds kick dust up off the ground and dissipate. Has the wind along the way gotten stronger? The dust devils are getting more frequent. This is the third one I have seen. My heart sinks. Oh no, could a sandstorm be brewing? In the desert, that is a life or death matter. Stop, I shout. Everyone brake. The bikes leave long black skid marks. The moment we stop, I jump off and run to the side of the road. I call over the team members with hearing and vision talents. Look at the horizon, I tell them. See if anything is odd. Listen carefully for gale wind. Then I crouch and examine the shape of the dunes. As a rule, the larger the dune, the weaker the wind. The dunes here are all small and continuous, which means they sit under long-term strong wind. The slope of the dunes points to the wind direction. After watching, I point in the direction the prevailing wind blows from and tell them to focus there. A gust of wind sweeps across and I feel a sudden cool. I check the panel quickly. Current regional desert temperature 47. Ground temperature 53. Convoy 341. Population 50. It was 49 before. The temperature really has dropped. That sudden drop means the air pressure has dropped too. Everyone on board, full sprint, I shout. The sandstorm is coming. The pre-arrival signs are obvious enough. The two talented spotters have not seen anything yet, but I cannot afford to gamble. Sprint now. The only way to dodge a sandstorm easily is to find shelter. Staying out on the bare road is death by sand. Hearing my warning, the team panics. 50 pairs of legs hammer the pedals. The vehicle speed jumps abruptly. Steering becomes a nightmare. A slip would flip the whole rig, and the pressure crashes onto me and not being controlling the wheel. After 5 or 6 minutes of full sprint, the girl with vision talent on lookout suddenly screams. I see it. The horizon is going dark. It is like a mountain pressing down on us. Her voice is already half panicked. Do not panic, I shout. Sprint with everything. We will reach the ruins soon. Since it is a village ruin, there will be houses, or at the very least crumbling walls. As long as there is shelter, we are fine. The wind comes up so hard the sand starts hitting the bicycle frame in a steady drumbeat, and I don't need any of my teammates with hearing talents to tell me what that low thunder underneath the wind means. The sandstorm is closing. The sky darkens like somebody hit a dimmer on the sun. The air pressure drops so fast my ears pop, and I feel the weight of it land on my chest. Earth never put a storm together like this one. I keep my grip locked on the steering bar and tell myself not to push the speed any harder, because if Na Bing's old driver talent loses its grip on the road for even a second, this whole bus full of women goes end over end into the sand. Na Bing is keeping us on the line through sheer talent. Without her bonus, the combined bicycle would have flipped a kilometer back, the moment the wind started throwing flying grit thick enough to blind us. I pedal until my thighs burn and listen to the sand scraping skin off everyone exposed to it. Behind me, Dong Yan yelps once when something cuts her, then grits through it and keeps pedaling. Like hell, I'm going to be the one who gives out first. Na Bing suddenly calls back that we are almost there, and the whole team goes electric. Through the yellow haze, I make out the shape of a broken earthen wall and a few dead trees, and the moment I focus on it, the prompt comes in clean and tells me an abandoned village sits ahead with wood, stone, upgrade parts, and a wonder waiting in the central shop, with 2 desert-dried cores guarding the square. The corpses are inside the village, not at the edge. Good enough. I cut hard for the broken wall, and I shout for everyone to brace because we are leaving the road. The combined bicycle hits the soft sand and bogs down, and we all bail. The girls sprint for the nearest broken wall, and I am most of the way there when something in the sound of the wind tells me to look back. My heart drops. Dong Yan and Song Ah are still at the bike. The wall of sand is closing on us at a speed I can almost measure in heartbeats, and Dong Yan is barely moving. The grit eats my arms while I run back into it. I tell myself she is the one who pledged her loyalty to me. She is one of mine now, and Song Ah is right next to her, which means there is no scenario where someone holding a rank luck dies in a sandstorm. I shoulder through the wind and see Song Ah trying to drag Dong Yan by both arms, shouting into a noise that swallows every word. Dong Yan's body is stiff. The same realization hits me hard, that this is dried corpse poison, and the wound is on the outside of her left thigh with black blood seeping through her pants. Someone on our own team used the chaos to put a poisoned finger into her. I tell myself to think about that later. Dong Yan is already pouring healing into the wound, a thin white glow on her palm. But healing takes seconds, and we don't have them. I tell Song Ah to run ahead and lead the way, scoop Dong Yan up against my chest, and charge for the broken wall with my head tucked into the wind. The world goes yellow. Song Ah vanishes in front of me. Then her hand snaps back out of the haze and catches my sleeve and yanks me the last few meters around the wall. I lay Dong Yan down at the base and throw my own body over her, just as the storm arrives. It sounds like rain made of stones. Every hit on my back lands with a separate sting, and I press myself flatter and try not to count them. Dongyeon stops her healing under me. I feel her breathing even out, her cheek warm against the inside of my collar, and I get the strange sense that she has decided I am safe. Fine. As long as she is alive, she can decide whatever she wants. The howling fades. I push up off her, and the second I straighten I have to suck air through my teeth, because every patch of skin on my arms and chest is bleeding in thin lines from 100 small cuts. I cannot see my back, but I can feel it, and the answer is worse. The other survivors come stumbling out of the windbreaks one by one, covered in dust, half of them bleeding. The dead tree at the front of the village is studded with stone splinters all up one side like a sandblasted hedgehog. A few seconds slower and that would have been me. I let Dongyeon work healing on the worst of my cuts, while I call together the 5 women I trust most, the A rank and B rank talent holders. I tell Loli to get me an axe, and I tell Nang Chu, Song Ah, and Na Bing to gather the team for a head count. Everyone is present. Nobody breathes. Song Ah is the one who says it out loud. A traitor in our team tried to murder Dongyeon with dried corpse poison, and almost succeeded. I let the silence stretch a beat, then I tell whoever did it to step forward on their own. Nobody moves. So I look at the girl with the olfactory talent, and she walks the line of women one by one. She stops next to Nang Chu, hesitates, glances at me to make sure I want her to keep going, then points. Nang Chu, standing right next to my elbow. Half the team makes a noise of disbelief. Nang Chu has the kind of talent and personality that would make a frame attempt this dumb, and she and Dongyeon were close. But when 2 women search her pockets, they pull out a section of a dried corpse's finger wrapped in cloth. Fresh red blood still on it. Loli lifts her axe. Then Nang Chu speaks, calmly, looking right at me. She tells me I know her. She has no reason to do this and she could not possibly be that stupid. I nod, because I haven't doubted her for a second. Even in the worst scenario, with Dongyeon still alive in front of us, Nang Chu would never have left the murder weapon in her own pocket. Somebody else slipped it in there during the storm. As I think it, the system answers me directly. The murderer who tried to kill Dongyeon is Moon Ryong, the woman who has been pushing back against me from the start. I thought she had settled down. I was wrong. She was waiting like a snake for the right hole. Moon Ryong picked the perfect moment too, because if Song Ah had not found Dongyeon first, Dongyeon would have died in the sandstorm, and once she was gone, no one else had healing for corpse poison, which would have left me next on the list. My voice gets cold. I take the axe out of Loli's hand and tell Moon Ryong to come out. The crowd backs to either side and exposes her. She launches into her defense before I get a word out, screaming that I framed her, that I am clearing out anyone who disagrees with me, that this whole assassination was staged so I could purge people. She points at Dongyeon and shrieks that her skin is too clean, her clothes too neat, that she does not even look like someone who got hit by a sandstorm, that the team has been giving her preferential treatment the whole way. A few faces in the crowd flicker. The accusation of mind control lands the way she meant it to land. She does not stop. She tells everyone that today I make up a reason to kill her, and tomorrow I make up a reason for any of them. That my hint talent is no different from a fortune teller's. That anything I say becomes truth and they all have to die when I name them. She tells the women that this is what all men do once they get power. She straightens her back like she is ready to be martyred, and the play almost works. Watching her, I feel only how absurd it is. Some people will live and die by the rules of the old world. They think they can flip right and wrong by tugging on emotion and twisting words and shaming the room. They never understood what power actually is. Power is whether you control violence, how many people are afraid of you, and how many people benefit from being on your side. And her game only ever worked because peacetime had rules to exploit and loopholes to hide in. I don't need a reason to let her die. Did she really think every arrangement and every save along the way was me being a saint? Dongyeon is shaking with rage next to me. She lays into Moon Ryong about saving her on the road, about Nang Chu sharing water with her, demanding to know if she is even human. She is genuinely stunned that anyone could do this, because she had been telling herself that if she just treated everyone well, they would all pull together to survive. Moon Ryong's face goes pale, then she switches gears and drops to her knees with a thud and starts crying, calling Dongyeon miss and begging her to have a conscience and stop siding with a tyrant. She cries hard enough that some of the softer-hearted women start to look uncertain. Dongyeon wavers for a second, because she is exactly the kind of girl who cannot stand watching another woman cry. And then she shakes her head hard. She has decided one thing. I am reliable. So if I say it was Moon Ryong, then it was Moon Ryong. She calls her a snake and tells her she is a real actress, eyes red even though she has no idea how to expose the act. I watch the room and let it run. I am the de facto team leader with a core group behind me, and I have 1,000 ways to put Moon Ryong in the ground. There is no rush. This whole episode is teaching me that there are bad apples in the team, which is not surprising because human nature is complicated and not everyone is worth saving. When the team first formed, I did not have time to read everyone. Now I get to see exactly who shows their teeth and who closes ranks. The room closes ranks. A tall girl shouts first that slandering Brother Bai is making an enemy of her. Another voice trembles with anger and says without me they would all have died in that storm. People are not stupid. They have watched my work the whole road, hints or no hints. A short-haired girl with a temper walks right up and slaps Mun-yong across the face, hard, and tells her she has no right to call herself hardworking when Dong-yeon and Na-bing and Nam-chu are all out here risking their lives. Mun-ryong staggers, then clutches her cheek and mutters that we are all sluts who only bully the weak and fear the strong, and that we are going to regret this. That is when Nang-chu, who has been silent the whole time, finally speaks. She asks the crowd why we cannot slowly walk through this from the start instead of arguing on emotion. Everyone looks at me and I nod. Nang-chu reminds them about the bloody finger in her own pocket, says human blood does not lie, and asks me to lay out exactly how I rescued Dong-yeon. I tell it straight through. Nang-chu calmly stitches it together. When I lifted Dong-yeon in a bridle carry, my right forearm wrapped under her legs, and the wound on the outside of her left thigh sat right against the inside of my right forearm. She walks over, lifts my arm, and shows the room the dark stain of poisoned blood on my skin. She tells them that if I had faked any of this, I would never have risked my own body to do it, and that Dong-yeon looks unmarked because she was healed, and because she spent the storm under me. It is the kind of analysis the rest of the team would have figured out eventually, but the way Nang-chu speaks it, soft and steady and giving the room a path, that is what is impressive. She is taking the floor without taking it. Mun-ryong's face stiffens. She tries one more time, saying even if all of that is true, it doesn't prove she is the killer. Nang-chu's gaze turns slow and her tone stays level. She tells the room she has only said all of this so nobody walks away with bad feelings, mainly so Brother Bai and Dong-yeon are not insulted. Then she pauses and quotes Lu Xun, that he who carries firewood for the crowd must not be left to freeze in the snow, and she says the same applies here. Brother B has earned the trust he is owed. Then she turns back to Moon-ryong and her eyes go cold. She asks her if she really thought she was trying to prove her guilty. Moon-ryong stares. Nang-chu's voice drops. She says it is the apocalypse. Why would she need to prove anything? Is she still on the clock at work? She draws a dagger from her waist, and the calm slides off her face all at once. She calls Moon-ryong a stinking gossiping bitch, and tells her she is going to slice her mouth to pieces. She charges before her sentence is finished. Mun-ryong is frozen until the dagger opens a gash across her cheek. Then she screams and runs. 2 steps and Nang-chu plants the blade in her lower back. Mun-ryong stumbles into the ruined village and loses her direction in the pain, and she runs blind right into the 2 desert-dried choruses guarding the wonder. By the time we work together to take the corpses down, Moon-ryong has already been bitten and dropped from the poison. When Dong-yeon sees Moon-ryong's body, intestines spilled across the sand, she doubles over and vomits before she can turn her head. It travels through the team like a signal, and half of them are heaving in seconds. Nang-chu insists, loud, that everyone has to come close and look, has to adapt to corpses, and adapt to the apocalypse. I look long enough to feel the smell hit the back of my throat and turn away to settle my stomach. Then I tell Nang-chu she is something else, that she did not even throw up. Nang-chu looks at me, slow, and then vomits directly onto me. That breaks me. I vomit back at her. We both lose it and double over and just keep going. I had eaten too much on the road and had been working too hard for any of it to digest, so the whole inventory comes out and I can pick out the fish from the apple from the rest of it. When I look up, there is a kernel of corn stuck to the tip of Nang-chu's nose where I return the favor. The whole scene is disgusting, and somehow that's exactly why I start laughing. Nang-chu glares at me both annoyed and amused, says she almost held it in until I had to open my mouth, and goes back down. I finish first, grab a canteen, swish out the burn at the back of my mouth, then strip off my filthy shirt and sit straight down in a sand pile and scrub myself with handfuls of dry sand. Sand bathing works shockingly well. The vomit absorbs into the grit and lifts off in flakes, leaving clean skin behind, and I only need a splash of water to rinse where it matters. Nang-chu sees what I am doing and turns her back and starts the same. I shake out my shirt, pull it back on, take a deep breath that comes out clean for the first time in an hour, and step over Mun-ryong's body on my way to the shop. About death, Nang-chu is right. The trick is to look at it more often. Run from it now and it will catch you off guard later. The shop is the only building in the village with its walls still intact, a sturdy block of granite. The display cabinets in the front room are empty except for a few bottles on the floor. I walk straight through to the back room. Collecting things is Song-ah's job alone. Everyone else is allowed to find and to flag, but only she picks up because her luck multiplies what comes out of an empty-looking bottle. Same logic for the 2 dried courses outside instead of 5, which is what other convoys are reporting at this stage. Song-ah lowers the difficulty by a tier just by being in the team. The wonder is sitting in the back room, a hexagonal stone platform 1 meter high and half a meter across, its top polished smooth enough to reflect the dim light like gray marble. My eyes light up. I step over and press my palm to the surface. The text drops cleanly into my head, congratulating me on discovering a synthesis platform, telling me it crafts equipment and materials with the right blueprints. I get to find the rest out on my own. This thing is a divine artifact. With this, the squad can finally start making its own gear. I have heard enough from the walkie-talkie chatter to know what to try first. I grab a fist-sized rough stone from the corner and a piece of deadwood about as long as my forearm, set both on the edge of the platform, Take a breath and press my hand down. The platform hums and a soft milky light blooms outward like a ripple, then folds back inward and wraps both materials. I focus on selecting them and silently push the command. The two pieces float and rotate inside the glow, draw toward each other, twist, fuse, and a crude stone hand axe is lying in the center of the platform when the light fades. The hint confirms I crafted a rough stone axe. The head is shaped from the rock with a sharp working edge, set into a groove on the polished wooden handle with a natural curl at the end for grip. I pick it up and swing. The blade whistles through the air. I try it against a piece of dry wood and it bites a deep gash, but a visible chip breaks off the head on the same strike. Durability is bad, but it works. Song Ah comes in with a few others. I tell her to help me move the platform onto the bike. She lights up and walks over fast, asking if this is the synthesis platform the walkie-talkie chatter has been talking about. I hand her the axe. So heavy, she says, weighing it in her hand, then nodding at how clever it is that you can make one from just stone and wood. She says if everyone had a few of them, we could throw axes at the dried corpses. I tell her throwing is a skill. No, what we want are spears. A 3-meter spear and we can handle a dozen corpses. That is the right weapon for ordinary people. Together with 5 girls, I drag the platform outside. The thing weighs 500 or 600 caddies and its shape gives nobody good leverage, so it takes all of us. Outside, under Nang Chu's direction, the team has already dug out the bicycles from the sand. The tin roofs are gone, smashed off and blown away by the storm. I notice the sun. It has been straight overhead too long. I ask the others, and they confirm it. By the clock it should be afternoon and the sun should be visibly west. And it is not. I check the temperature on my panel. Current desert temperature 52 degrees Celsius afternoon. Ground temperature 59. Convoy 341. Current head count 49. The hint tells me the peak afternoon temperature here can hit 55. We cannot ride without sunshade. Even with shade it is rough. And without it nobody can touch a metal pole on the bike because it is already too hot. Right on cue a tire blows from the heat. I shout for the team to let air out of the rest and they move fast. Nobbing is worried. Rubber will not last in this, the tires are going to burst one by one. I agree about the tires but say the bigger problem is the roof. Nang Chu suggests wood. We have an axe, plenty of dead trees, plenty of usable wood in the ruins. I call it. Distribute the tools, half-cut trees, half-scavenged wood from the village, and we move now. I touch the bike to confirm. The system tells me yes, a roof can be added directly by consuming wood, but the wood cost is ridiculous. A whole pile for a single roof. Then someone comes out of the shop with the wooden shelves and a single dismantled board upgrades to a roof. The lesson is immediate. Raw materials waste about 3 times what worked boards cost. That cannot stand. I walk over to the platform in the shade and press my hand on it. I try a piece of wood, expecting boards. The platform hums, the light wraps the wood, and what falls out is a small irregular slab not nearly big enough. Wrong synthesis method. The chatter on the walkie-talkie has been saying you have to know the formula in advance, that the platform follows fixed rules. The synthesis platform is not flexible like a workshop. It is a mysterious refining device with rules. Better methods probably exist, and a corresponding talent might unlock them. I remember why I think so. There is a girl on the team with a C-rank engineer talent, and if I am remembering right, she gets a small bonus probability on manufacturing. Without a formula, you have to spend materials and trial and error to crack the recipe. Then a fresh row of hints quietly appears in front of me. Items that can be manufactured with current materials. Stone axe equals 1 stone plus 1 wood. Stone spear equals 1 stone plus 3 wood. Wooden board equals 2 wood. Telephone equals 2 walkie-talkies. Enhanced iron pickaxe equals 2 iron pickaxes. My eyes light up. Hints win again. No trial, no waste. The formula is on the table. I drop 2 pieces of wood on the platform. The light hums. A clean standard wooden board appears, about a centimeter thick, exactly the right size to upgrade a bicycle canopy. I call Zhang Xian over, the engineer girl. I tell her she is responsible for the platform from here on. She nods so hard her hair bounces, eyes bright, telling me operating it will raise her proficiency and slowly grow her talent, and there is even a small chance of doubled output. Then she remembers herself and warns me that without a formula, there will be a lot of extra consumption from trial and error. I hand her a wooden board carved with more than a dozen synthesis formulas. She stares blankly, then looks up at me. I smile and tell her to just follow this, that everything we can make with our current stock is right there, and to have good luck. She nods hard, says she will do her best, and as I turn away her cheeks flush a little, because this was the first time she has spoken to me alone, and she has just been given a real role. Her worry shows in her eyes the next second. If the recipes are already on a board, what is her engineer talent even for? She had better find a way to work harder if she wants to keep her spot. I head for the tree cutters. We pulled several iron axes out of the oasis earlier, and they make short work of trunks, but the dead wood here is hard enough that the blades clang and ring and the shock numbs my hands. If the angle is off, the axe almost knocks itself out of my grip. One of the girls has a D-rank gathering talent, the kind that looks like garbage if you are running solo, because what good is knowing how to chop wood when you cannot survive the trip? But in a team it is gold. Even though my speed is twice hers, Her output matches mine because gathering sometimes doubles or even triples the yield. I hand her my half-chopped tree and switch to a patrol of the ruins. While I am walking the village, I chat with the girls who had spoken up for me earlier, the ones who slapped Moonryung or called her out. Everyone works equally hard, but the ones with steadier personalities, more loyalty, more optimism, deserve more opportunities. That rule is clarifying for me. I used to fantasize about picking by talent. Once I actually had to lead, I learned that loyalty has to come first, because the next backstab will not give me the same warning Moonryung did. Disloyal can be useful. Disloyal can never be trusted in a critical seat. This is not the moment for promotions though. Right now, I am just listening, watching, learning who each of them is. The whole half hour people keep coming to me with small problems. Then Song-ah returns from her sweep with the search team, and the hall is fat. A wrench, a crowbar, a bottle of iodophor, a bottle of alcohol from one room. They also pried open a hidden basement with food, 3 short steel knives, 2 crude iron ingots, and a box of basic parts. I press the platform and new hints appear. Iron axe equals 2 crude iron ingots plus 1 wood. Iron spear equals 2 plus 3. Molotov cocktail equals 1 alcohol bottle plus 1 cloth. Crude iron ingot can refine into iron ingot at 2 to 1. The Molotov recipe makes me grin. With ground temperature this high, we do not even need a flame. The cocktail will ignite on impact alone. That is our first real weapon. Song-ah leans in next to my ear and whispers that there seems to be another secret compartment under the basement, and that she feels there are better things down there, but did not want to mention it with so many years around. The thing with Dong-yeon has spooked her. She did not have anyone she absolutely trusted next to her right then, so she kept her mouth shut and came back to me. I ask her whether she chose to wait for me or whether she just instinctively felt it was wrong to bring it up. She thinks for a moment and says, probably both. I laugh and tell her that it's probably her luck working, that from now on she should follow her gut and let the rest take care of itself. She grins and asks if that means she can just empty her head and not think. I tell her sometimes that really is how it works, and her ability is honestly comfortable. I take Dong-yeon and Loli with me. Healer is required. Loli is fast and has some combat. I tell Nangchu and the others where I am going so they do not wonder. The basement was just a grain cellar, but when I tap the floor, one spot answers hollow. The hint pops up almost immediately. Hidden cellar discovered. The owner dug it for some shady business. Below is a confined dried corpse, several other corpses, and some mysterious treasures. The switch is hidden behind a brick at the entrance. I walk to the entrance, feel along the bricks, pull the loose one, and yank the iron chain behind it. The mechanism turns with a dull click, and the floor in the cellar slides aside to reveal a narrow downward passage. The smell that surges up is rotten dust together. Loli pinches her nose and whispers that there is treasure, because a strange light is already flickering at the bottom of the stairs. I grab her shoulder before she can charge ahead and tell her to let Song-ah go first. Half joking and half not, I tell her Song-ah has the luck not to die, so if there is a trap, better her step than ours. Loli sticks out her tongue and nods. We file down the stone steps. The deeper we go, the thicker the rot gets, mixed with something like rust and mold. When the flashlight sweeps the lower level, all 3 girls scream at once and crowd against me. My own heart skips. In the beam, a dried corpse with its abdomen sliced open is laid out on a crude wooden table. The flesh has long since dried and blackened, but the wound and the twisted limbs still carry that spine-cold horror. To the side, a rusty iron cage sits in the shadows, and the thing inside slowly lifts its head. Another dried corpse, but not the violent kind. This one is weak. It does not roar, does not struggle. It just turns its head and stares at us out of empty sockets. Above the cage, a crystal ball hangs in the air, putting out a soft light. That is the treasure glow we saw from the top of the stairs. I reach up and pull the crystal ball down, and the information drops into my head right away. Mysterious crystal ball. Consuming it gives me 1 random attribute point. My heart jolts. An attribute point is strategic level treasure. No wonder the man from Convoy 300 sounded so smug on the walkie-talkie when he hinted about this thing, and then refused to say more. So that was the secret. I hand it straight to Song-ah without thinking. She sighs softly and says she finally understands why that person killed his own teammates, because this is too precious. The fact that I just put it in her hands without a beat of hesitation lands in her chest harder than the ball itself. On a road this dangerous, unreserved trust gives more peace of mind than any treasure does. She smiles, lashes lowered, and leans in a little closer to whisper with me. The 4 of us take turns holding the ball, all stunned by what it does, and the secret quietly bonds us, because none of the rest of the team has touched what we are touching. I hear the cage roar. I look back. The moment the crystal ball left the cage, the weak dried corpse came alive, struggling against the bars. I set the ball back near it, and the corpse slumps, even recoils slightly. I lift it, the corpse roars. I set it down, the corpse quiets. After a few tries I confirm a secondary function. The crystal ball suppresses the dried corpse, but the range is short and the delay is a second or 2, so I cannot use it as a combat tool. Inertia alone would let a pouncing corpse cut me before the suppression kicked in. I tell Song-ah to hold the ball, that we will decide together back upstairs who actually uses it. And I do not even consider keeping it for myself. I do not know yet what it will give. While we are sweeping the cellar, Song-ah finds an old mechanical hand-crank generator in the corner, which solves the lithium battery problem in one stroke. With the generator, we can use the electric motor on the next leg, and everyone breathes easier. I had thought about building a kinetic recovery device from scratch and given up, because we did not have the materials. Now I have one ready-made. Then I look at the weak corpse in its cage, and a bold idea lands in my head. After making sure nothing else is hidden in the cellar, we drag the cage with iron chains up to the surface, the rot smell hanging on us. Back on top, we run into Na Bing's resource team. They crowd around the caged corpse, half afraid and half curious, like it is a zoo animal. I tell them quickly what we found and to be ready for what is coming when we start cleaning up. That is when I notice Song-ah's hands are empty. Where did she put the ball? I glance at Loli and Dong-yeon. The three of them are wearing almost nothing, their tops barely enough to cover them. No place to hide a thing that size. Once we get to a shaded corner with no other eyes around, I ask her quietly. Song-ah looks around to make sure no outsider is paying attention, then turns her back, slips 2 fingers into the bandages wrapped around her chest, and pulls out the crystal ball. She smiles, a little shy, and apologizes. She says she ran into too many people too fast, and it glows faintly, and she had nowhere else to put it. She drops it gently into my palm. It is still warm from her body heat. I cannot help myself. I look at the silhouette wrapped in cloth across her chest, rising and falling, and feel a wave of respect, because this ball is the size of a fingernail and smooth as a marble, the kind of thing that would fall out of an average person's grip on the first step. Song-ah hit it, walked the whole way, and held herself like nothing had happened. Her cheeks color a little under my look and she shifts on her feet, while Dong-yeon and the other girl give her envious thumbs up, and Loli mutters that she really underestimated her. I lift the ball into the sun. Inside it, a slow field of stars rotates. It is honestly beautiful. I think out loud about who should get it, and the hint pops up next to my hand. This mysterious crystal ball can provide +1 strength attribute. I almost laugh. Only 1 point. It is something, and I already have 12 strength, so adding 1 is nice but not a phase change. Still, this makes it easy to pick a recipient. Who benefits most from extra strength? When I tell Song-ah and the others, they all look at me with the same smile. Song-ah and Dong-yeon and Loli each tell me, one after the other, to use it myself, because I am already the main force and improving me is the team's biggest force multiplier. I am moved by that. An attribute point is rare. We only found 1 in a hidden location, which means a convoy probably gets 1 ball per stop, if they even find the hidden room. Most do not. I nod and say I will not be polite about it. I do not use it right away. I wrap the ball in cloth and walk it up to the caged corpse, and the corpse goes still as a wooden chicken. I have the others open the cage and chain its hands and feet with the iron from the cellar. Then I take the crowbar and knock every one of its teeth out, jam a wooden gag into its mouth so it cannot bite, and chop both its hands off at the wrists. The neutered corpse gets dragged to the rear of the bicycle and lashed in place between wooden boards and poles like a mule on a yoke. It can only step forward in the harness, hooing softly, and because someone is sitting in front of it, it instinctively follows. The combined bicycle actually rolls forward a short distance under its push. The whole team stares for a second, then bursts out laughing. Loli clutches her stomach, doubled over. Song-ah covers her mouth and giggles, but her eyes stay on me with open admiration, because even in this corner of hell I can still produce something absurd enough to make everyone laugh. Ever since the unconditional trust thing, she keeps finding me more pleasing to look at, and the worse the situation, the better my character looks to her. She thinks to herself that being randomly placed on my team was real luck. She had the worst luck on the team when this started, and she is only the luckiest one now because I built her into that. She remembers the morning she stood in front of me naked without realizing it, and then how I gave her the strips of cloth she is still wearing today. And her face goes hot, but her eyes stay on me. Then her gaze drops to the cloth bundle in my hand, and a thought lands in her like an inspiration. She wonders if she can bless me to give me extra luck, so when I use the crystal ball it gives me a better effect. The team is howling. Someone calls it the dried corpse perpetual motion machine, and a giant leap for mankind. Once the laughter fades, we all realize it is too crude to be useful. The corpse cannot push the whole vehicle alone, and once we are running at 40 kilometers an hour, it cannot keep pace anyway. But this is only step 1. I press my palm to the bike and start the real upgrade. The platform's light wraps the generator, the corpse's harness, and a crude iron ingot all together. I push the upgrade through. The system confirms. Consumed 1 generator, 1 box of basic parts, 1 crude iron ingot, and the harness. Obtained a dried corpse crawler type generator. The device uses the corpse's running to turn tracks, which turn the generator, which continuously charges the lithium battery. It extends our range in motor assist mode and supports kinetic recovery from the axle on descents. The whole device, integrating the corpse, generator, lithium battery, electric motor, and bicycle, is finally a unit. Strictly speaking, it is environmentally friendly. A dried corpse running forever to push electrons through, paired with regenerative braking, theoretically 0 fuel per 100 kilometers. The corpse fears no heat, has serious strength, never sleeps, never eats, never drinks, at least so far. Whether it ever needs to eat, or how long it can run like this is a question I am not pursuing right now. As long as it does not die from overuse, I will work it to death, and if I am lucky I can catch more for spares. I burn another crude iron ingot and some wood to modify the spare bicycle into a stable loading platform, then move the synthesis platform onto it and lash it down with planks. Meanwhile, Nangshu has a second group upgrading the wooden roofs. Under my arrangement, everyone has a role. Some gather, some make boards, some upgrade and modify, some transport. Everything moves fast. The constant questions and the constant flow of small decisions leave me lightheaded. I used to think managing people just meant talking. In practice, you have to clearly point at a direction and you have to actually convince. On top of that, the more people you have, the more trivial issues bubble up to you. How many bottles of water for each person? Someone scraped a knee. Someone has started her period. They all come to me. 48 people, even if each one brings me a single thing per day, is 48 a day, and it is honestly more than that. I have to pick group leaders soon and split the load. Otherwise, the dual drain on body and head is going to break me. Once the system is humming, I finally sit and chug half a water bottle in one go. Song Ah, who has been helping nearby, waits for that gap and then drifts over, her eyes curving into crescents. She tells me she has a fun idea. I ask what. She lowers her voice. The mysterious crystal ball gave me one strength, but she has a feeling the acquisition might not be fixed. She is very lucky. If I could rub some off her, maybe the ball's effect would scale up. That stops me. My first reaction is that it is ridiculous, because the rules of the ball seemed locked, but Song Ah does not see it that way. To her, as long as the ball has not been used, nothing is settled. It is like an unopened treasure chest, and anything is possible inside, even a Tyrannosaurus Rex in red underwear. With anyone else I would think theoretically possible, practically zero. With Song Ah, the field rewrites itself. Anything she has not directly experienced yet has room to bend. Realizing that, I get excited. I tell her she is amazing, then immediately ask the obvious question. How do I actually rub off her luck? That is the key. Her aura covers 100 meters, but it is passive. She has no way to actively bless anyone. Song Ah crosses her arms and grins at me. She cannot help with that. She just had the thought and brought it to me, since I was the one who told her to clear her head and trust her gut. She winks. This is the result of her gut. I get it. The matter has more promise the more I think about it. I pull her into an empty, broken house and take the ball out of the cloth bag. It shimmers in my palm. She stands right in front of me. A line of prompts surfaces clearly. I have sensed Song Ah's luck. It can influence the crystal ball's effect. If the ball is used under Song Ah's gaze, there is a chance of +2 strength. If it is used while in Song Ah's sincere embrace, there is a chance of +3 and a high probability of +2. If it is used with Song Ah's sincere kiss of blessing, there is a chance of +5 and a high probability of +4. Holy crap. So this is how you rub off luck. The conditions are not gentle though. It has to be a sincere blessing from her heart. A formality counts for nothing. Best case 5 points. 5 strength would put me well past ordinary human and let me handle a dried corpse barehanded. My combat power would skyrocket. The more I look at the numbers, the more I want them. And then I look at the girl in front of me and hesitate. It is not embarrassment. It is that the prompt said if. And if it does not work, it is going to be awkward for both of us forever. But indecision is not my style. I tell her the truth. Her eyes go wide. She asks if it can really work. I just smile and tell her to go with her gut, and I let the look land. Her face flushes red and her words tangle, asking which option we are even choosing. Of course I am going all in. I do not say it. I just look at her. Her face gets redder. Her heart a mess. Things moving way too fast. Who is she? Where is she? Why did her gut hand her this? Suddenly she has to kiss me. I take pity on her and suggest a hug. The key is sincerity. Going through the motions is useless either way, and a sincere hug should not be hard. She straightens. She tells me no. A kiss. Like she has just decided. Go big or go home. What is a mere hug? Before I can react, she gathers herself, rises onto her tiptoes, and plants one on my cheek with a small mois. Then she just stares at me, head buzzing. I blink at her. Wait, were you actually ready? You just kissed me out of the gate. I have to ask. It has to be sincere. Just now, were you sincere? She stares blankly. Then her face goes beet red. She had been so nervous she went on autopilot, told herself just go for it, before she could chicken out, and forgot the sincerity step entirely. There is nothing she can do but take a deep breath, close her eyes, and silently bless me with everything she has. Then she leans in again, slow and solemn, and her lips press softly against my cheek, warm and linger for 2 or 3 seconds before pulling away. The crystal ball in my hand bursts into light, then dissolves into starlight that drifts down into my body. I have used a mysterious crystal ball and fortunately obtained a perfect great effect. +5 strength. I feel the power dump into me. I clench my fist and the cuff of my short sleeve shirt rips open at the seam. The muscles of my whole arm bulge, lines distinct, veins faintly showing. like I am one breath from turning into the Hulk, a muscle man bursting with raw power. The miraculous part is that the moment I unclench, the exaggerated contours retract and my arm settles back to its normal slender shape, just with a denser foundation under the skin. I lift my shirt to look at my abdomen. Same story. The flat waist now shows the faint outlines of segmented blocks, and a small tension brings out 8 visible plates, but the overall build does not get bulky or bloated. It stays lean, coordinated, ready, like a long-trained athlete's body. Song-ah is still dazed from the kiss, then the rip of the shirt snaps her awake. Her eyes go wide and her mouth makes an O. Those muscles are practically thicker than her thighs. She does not need to touch them to know what they feel like. Then I let go, and the muscle thickness retracts, and I am back to the tall and handsome upright guy. Her gaze follows my shirt up to the abs, smooth and distinct and full of the beauty of power, and she stares blankly for a moment. When I look up, she snaps her eyes away and changes the subject, asking if this is the power of the crystal ball. Yeah. I just pull the torn shirt off and let it drop. Sweat slides down my collarbone onto my pectorals and onto my abdomen, glinting in the sun coming through the broken window. She goes lightheaded. A wave of masculine air washes over her, and her heart drums and her face flushes. Outside television, she has never seen a physique like this in real life. I test my arm. The air whistles when I swing. I tell her the numbers say less than 50% increase, but it feels more than doubled. That the growth is not linear. I feel inexhaustible. The fatigue is gone, the whole body refreshed. I tell her sincerely that all of this is thanks to her. Without her, I would still be smug over a 1-point bonus. I never would have known a sincere kiss could quintuple the reward. She really is my lucky girl. The thought makes me wonder, if I kissed her before operating the synthesis platform, would I trigger a great success and quintuple the output? But the warmer thing is something else. I just hit perfect on the highest tier of the prompt. That means her kiss was sincere. She has feelings for me, and that sentence is no longer a fantasy or self-consolation. Even in a peaceful society, lucky enough to meet a friend who keeps you in her heart is worth celebrating. In this convoy, it is rare gold. The joy of that lands deeper than the 5 strength. I have more confidence about the road ahead. Right now, I can take a dried corpse one-on-one. I do wonder what attribute the man from Convoy 300 got, and how many points. He is S rank. There is a good chance we run into him later. We step out of the broken house. I test the platform. The synthesis platform that originally took 6 people to carry, I can now barely lift alone. Not much, but enough to confirm what I am. An hour later, the new bike is done. The corpse generator is mounted at the rear. The roof is replaced with wooden planks. Wooden storage boxes are strapped around the body for resources and spare planks. On Nabing's suggestion, we pull every tire off and synthesize them into all-rubber solid tires before they all blow out individually on the road. The cost is steep, 99 tires down to 33, but the new ones are tough enough to survive 60-plus degree roads and will never blow. Spread evenly across the body, they still provide shock absorption. The leftover inner tubes are not wasted either. One of our shooting talent girls turns inner tubes and tree branches into a powerful large slingshot. Jiang Qian puts 10 3-meter stone spears off the platform, and they go to the 10 strongest girls. If we meet dried courses again, we have dedicated point women. Everything ready. I walk the perimeter of the vehicle once, doing a pre-departure inspection. The bike is our lives. It has to be perfect. I have read about long-haul drivers burning incense to their rigs before setting out, and I do not know if the machine spirit likes it, but the psychology is right. Best the vehicle has no problems. If it breaks on the road, it can be fatal. I look at the new shape. It started as a shared bicycle, and now it is a Hulk carrying 48 girls, more like a bus. Look at it. This is going to keep getting better. I wave my hand. Get on, let's go. The girls cheer, high-spirited, and the convoy rolls again. As we cross the village edge, a fresh prompt appears on the road. Distance to the next stop, abandoned gas station, 215 kilometers. A gas station. My eyes light up. A gas station means more than gasoline. It probably has a convenience store. Clothes, fresh water, food. If our luck is up, there might even be abandoned vehicles, and parts to push the bike further. If I can eliminate pedaling, that is a real phase change. I glance back at Song-ah on my right and grin before announcing the prompt out loud. The whole bus cheers. I tell them to hold on, we are trying the motor. I throw the rough switch tied to the frame. The motor hums in, the bike accelerates, and the resistance on the pedals drops. There is no gear control, the motor is on or off at full output, and there is no way to check the battery level. Many parts are still missing. For now, motion beats anything else. There are no traffic police out here either, so we drive however we want. The remaining battery is a guess. Most of the scooters I rode back home had inaccurate gauges anyway, just happy meters, so I am used to the only honest signal, which is the power weakening as the battery empties. Anyone who has ridden an electric scooter feels that on instinct. The motor lifts the mood for about 10 minutes, and then the heat smothers it again. We are all panting like dogs, sweating through everything, and the only thought left is finding an oasis and lying down. I check the panel. The temperature has hit its daily peak, 55 degrees Celsius. Ground temperature 63. Terrifying numbers, the upper limit of human endurance. Exposed to the sun out here, you die fast. When the bike climbs a slope, my arms and feet sometimes catch direct light, and the sting is immediate. Without the wooden roof, we would all be down inside 10 minutes. Dongyeon stands up to touch the roof and yelps that it feels about to catch fire. Nang Chu, sitting behind her, smiles and tells her not to worry, that she is here. Nang Chu is the most comfortable person on the vehicle right now, because she is the team's water source. She makes water and bottles it into spare containers and rations it out to keep heads cool. In this heat, we need to be constantly drinking just to dump heat through sweat. Otherwise, heat stroke is a coin flip. And if anyone slumps off the bike from heat stroke, it is going to be a problem. I have the team pull out the inner tubes we collected and lash them across the bike seats as makeshift seatbelts. Everyone has wooden backrests now, more comfortable, but that comfort also makes it easier to suddenly drift off if you are tired or overheated. With the bike at 35 to 40 kilometers an hour, falling off is dangerous. Na Bing is at the front buckling herself in and complaining that her pretty fair legs are ruined, that people will think she is black at this point. Loli, the relentless optimist, fires back that her upper body is so fair and rosy that everyone will just think she has on black stockings. Then Loli tells the team not to worry, that we have hit peak heat, and if this is rock bottom, then any direction is up. I smile and nod. Lucky for us, the temperature will not rise further, at least not soon. If it did, the bike would be useless and we would need stronger protection. Then I think Loli is only half right. Rock bottom can still get lower, just downward into underground caves. 50 kilometers later, the sun has not moved and the temperature is still locked at 55. Something is wrong. If we are going to cool off, the sun should at least be drifting west, and it is not. I tell the team flatly that I miscalculated, that the afternoon in this world is exceptionally long, and I would not be surprised if this temperature holds for another dozen hours, or another dozen days. We are well prepared with water and food and a corpse that generates power around the clock, so we are not desperate, but we are in for a hard run. I adjust the cycling rules. 3 shifts, rotating. With the motor's help, only a third of us at a time need to pedal to keep the bike moving fast. With 49 people in 3 shifts, only 48 slots are needed. The leftover slot goes to Na Bing and me, the 2 drivers, because we need more reserves and have to be alert. We can split that no pedaling slot however we like. Right now I am resting, but not idle. I am holding the walkie-talkie and rolling through frequencies to find out how the other teams are doing. I open with a hail. Convoy 341, respond if you hear me. An annoyed voice answers, you again, not dead yet. What a coincidence, it is Convoy 300. I shoot back that his pedals must be smoking by now and ask if he still has time to tune his radio. He tells me he is riding a tricycle alone and it is fine, then asks how many of us are left. A new male voice cuts in and asks if it is convenient to butt in. He tells me not to answer Seo Woon, that the beast is probably setting up an ambush. There was someone else on the channel the whole time, eavesdropping, and he saw fit to warn me. Seo Woon sneers and calls him Wang Gang and asks how he is in every channel like a stinking rat, then says he is wrong this time, that he is not planning to kill me because I will never even reach the 4th checkpoint, that I am the freak from Convoy 341. Wang Gang's voice goes suddenly interested at the convoy number, the one with a lot of people. He asks for my name, then immediately tells me not to give it, tells me to stop sharing information of any kind, because Seo Woon and a handful of others have already killed their own teammates and chat across channels just to fish information for robbery. He tells me the so-called trading is a scam and to stay safe. It is surprising to hear how much has happened on the air while I was offline. Seo Woon is notorious now, and many people know him. I thank Wang Gang and tell him my name anyway, because gratitude costs nothing, and it is worth being on good terms with someone. He chuckles and says that is enough. No need to say more after this. Seo Woon cuts in with a cold sneer, says he only kills people, but some men are far more hypocritical, devouring others without spitting out the bones. He says no matter what tricks we play, we are all going to die, and he will be waiting on the main road for us to deliver ourselves. Then his voice cuts out, either switching channels or muting. I follow up with Wang Gang and ask if I can trade for some information. He is straightforward and tells me to ask whatever I want. No trade, he will tell me what he knows. I ask if his temperature is also 55 and whether he has reached the 4th checkpoint. He says yes on the heat, sun straight overhead, and no on the checkpoint that he heard from Convoy 985, that it is over 200 kilometers from the 3rd to the 4th. I am surprised he can pick up convoys starting with 9. He says with some pride that he synthesized a mobile phone and now he can receive messages from convoys 1 through 1,000. I praise him sincerely. Synthesizing a phone this fast is real strength. It does spark a thought. I have 2 walkie-talkies and have held off on the phone synthesis because walkie-talkies are too useful during exploration. For a team my size, going straight to a phone might not be worth the trade. But what if the phone can be synthesized further into something stronger? I ask. Wang Gang says he does not know, but after the 4th checkpoint plenty of people will, and it will not be too late then. True. After the 4th checkpoint, the convoys starting with 3 converge, robbery breaks out, and walkie-talkies will be easy to take off the dead. Wang Gang's tone goes serious. He tells me to be extremely careful of Seo Woon. His analysis is that the man's talent is most likely combat-oriented. His personal combat power is high, and his bike mods are all built for murder and robbery. His advice is to slow down, not rush to the 4th checkpoint, and once there, stay as long as I can and avoid him. Wait for the monsters behind to almost catch up, then move. I agree out loud and thank him. I do not put on any tough talk. Honestly, Convoy 341 has many people skilled at survival and few at combat, and even with my new bonuses, I might still be behind a specialist. My original plan was already to stay at every checkpoint as long as possible to rest, gather, and upgrade, so even without his reminder I would have left late. My speed will probably be the slowest of any convoy, but our overall condition is the best. We chat longer. Wang Gang is also an S-rank talent holder with a large team. The 4th checkpoint intel was originally his, which makes Seo Woong's earlier attempt to barter it shameless. The checkpoints each convoy hits are randomized and luck-based. Then Wang Gang laughs, relaxed, and says that insidious fellow Seo Woong is finally gone. He tells me he is about to share exclusive intel. I am surprised and tell him to go ahead. He says his mobile phone has a screen and he can see the online status of every channel starting with 3 in real time. He knows exactly who is in which channel, so I should understand everything he just told me was true, but the main purpose was to mislead Seo Woon. Following his suggestions is still safe, but further down the road we will all be on the same path. And although there will probably still be forks, Seo Woong out front is a constant threat, scouring the good resources for himself, so we have to find a way to take him out. The initiative is the only way. He extends the invitation. If I have the strength or the guts, I can join the Slay Woong Alliance convoy he is building. He has already contacted several convoys. When the time comes, we gather and bring Seo Woong down together. This genuinely surprises me. I think for a moment and tell him this is not a call I can make alone, that I need to consult my team. Wang Gang smiles and says fair. The main thing is that I know about it, that I do not need to join, but if I leak it I become his enemy. If I make up my mind, I should turn the frequency knob clockwise all the way down, say anything and wait 10 minutes, and if timing works he will reach out. I ask why he chose me. He says, "Is that even a question?" Of course, because you are strong and your team is reliable. That he heard Seo Woong gripe about me through his teeth long ago, and anyone who can piss Seo Woong off has real ability. Then before I respond he tacks on, "Not," and laughs that he was joking. His next laugh is bitter. He tells me only 71 convoys still show online on his phone. The other 29 have not come on at all, and he suspects them dead. Of those 71, no more than 20 check in occasionally and look in decent shape, and that number is still falling. Of those 20, more than half are lone wolves. Subtract a few who sound dumb or unreliable, and there is not much choice. I have no answer. There are simply very few decent convoys left to pick from. After Wang Gang lays out the state of the 100 convoys, I sit with the walkie-talkie quiet in my lap. I had not expected the field to be this bad. More than half the people in the 300s are probably already dead, and we are only 8 or 9 hours into the survival challenge. It is only going to get harder from here. I have to hurry and stack resources to get stronger. Wang Gang signs off and tells me he has to get back on the road, wishes me well for what is ahead. I wish him the same and kill the channel. I ask the team what they think. The girls nearby were listening the whole time. Loli, sitting in the 3rd row, jumps in first and says we should cooperate, that Seo Woong is way too arrogant. Dongyun nods and says cooperation is fine if Wang Gang turns out reliable. Na Bing says these are the calls Song Ah should be making. Everyone looks at Song Ah on the left of the 2nd row. She is caught for a moment and admits her luck is good, but inspiration does not arrive on command, that she has nothing on this one yet. Then Nang Chu speaks. She says we cannot just take Wang Gang's word, because he is the only source we have, and who knows whether he hunts us down once we hit the meeting point. She points out a detail. When I asked Wang Gang whether he had reached the 4th checkpoint, he answered with I. Someone with a team would almost always answer with we, so Wang Gang might be a lone wolf himself, and the whole alliance pitch might be bait that makes him no different from Seo Woon. The room goes quiet. Everyone's eyes land on me. Without thinking about it, I have become the spine of the team, and when the call is hard, they want me to make it. I take a moment, then say my plan is to stall, neither accept nor refuse, and once we reach the 4th checkpoint, we make a decision based on what is actually in front of us. I remind them we have our own optimal plan, which is to comb every checkpoint slowly and squeeze the resource yield, and we cannot let Wang Gang or anyone else throw that off. The Seo Woong threat is real, so we are not in a rush to refuse. We just develop and decide later. Everyone nods. The plan is steady. Na Bing agrees that yes, we have to analyze our enemies seriously, but we cannot let it consume us. Like I said, our work right now is to become powerful. If we can mod the bike into an armored car along the way, then whether it is Wang Gang or Seo Woong with whatever tricks, she can just floor it and crush them. People chime in agreement, and underneath the bravado I can hear the thirst. Even if they will not say it, they are uneasy, because none of them have ever been in a fight, and now they are looking at men who murder their own teammates. Song Ah turns to me, blinks, and says wait. She has another inspiration. She tilts her head, says she has a gut feeling we will win, but everyone has to work together. Every one of us has to be armed. And if luck is on our side, at the next stop we can find something to boost our strength. The team's spirits jump and anticipation builds. Na Bing goes straight into wish-granting mode, asking out loud for a big bus or a bulldozer. I look at Song Ah, mildly confused, because she and I have mapped out her luck and it is not precise enough to deliver prophecy. Then she shoots me a small mischievous glance, and I get it. She is playing mystic to lift morale. I make a note to talk to her later. Use too much, it stops working and damages the team's trust in her actual talent. The convoy rolls on, and people start grabbing sleep. We have been pushing almost 10 hours without a break. The new seats have wide backrests and seatbelts, so once rotation lets them off shift they drop. Insomnia does not exist out here. Even not being at the front is losing the fight to keep her eyelids open. I tell her to go rest. I will drive the rest of the way. She shakes her head fast, says no, she is also a driver. This is not fair. I tell her quietly that my energy was fully restored when I used the crystal ball. I already told the 5 core members about it privately because the physical changes were impossible to hide. Na Bing stops insisting. She buckles her belt and asks in a tired voice if she can take advantage of me a little more and borrow my thigh. The latest upgrade made the seats roomier with no obstruction between them, like double bus seats, so she can lean over fully. I tell her if she does not mind the heat, go ahead. Before I finish, she has already turned sideways, settled her head on my thigh, and closed her eyes. Her breathing levels out fast, hands tucked under her cheek. She did not go to the bed in the back because she is afraid of emergencies, sand piles in the road, or a dried corpse appearing roadside. The cases where I would need her on the steering. The most likely scenario, honestly, is me going down from heat stroke. 7 or 8 people in the convoy have already been hit even with steady water intake. If I went down at the wheel, the bike would roll. So 2 drivers up front is non-negotiable. I look down. She is sleeping with her mouth slightly open, hair stuck to her sweat-damp forehead, warm breath coming through the thin fabric of my pants. She cut both legs off those tight yoga pants a while back, neatly trimmed them at the thighs with a dagger, because in this heat-tight fabric on skin is unbearable. With the pants already tight and her prone position pulling them higher, half her bottom is almost out, tracing a full curve. She really does live up to her yoga teacher title, sexy plumpness with a quiet, flexible power inside it. I keep my grip on the steering and hold us at 30 to 40 kilometers an hour by the road. My strength bonus quietly covers for my lack of driving talent. The ride is smooth, almost no jolts, on par with what Na Bing usually gives us. The scenery starts out grand, golden red dunes shimmering under the sun, the distant horizon distorted by heat, but after long enough it just gets boring. Yellow sand as far as the eye can see, occasional dust columns kicked up by the hot wind. Before long I am bored and a little uncomfortable. The spot where Na Bing's head is pressed against my thigh is putting her body heat right through my pants, and with her sweating the patch of fabric is soaked. I quietly hike the leg of my shorts up to let some wind through. The hot wind brings a slight chill across my skin, but Na Bing shifts unconsciously. Her cheek rubs against my leg, and the damp heat lands on me again. Whether that wetness is sweat or saliva she has drooled in her sleep, I cannot tell. Either way, it is sticky and sharp in this environment. Just as my mind is wandering, a point of light flashes in the desert off to my front left. I sit up. I look at the spot, and there is nothing there except dunes. Strange. Was it an illusion? I turn my head and ask loudly if anyone else saw a reflection to the front left. Just one flash. One of the girls pedaling answers right away, her voice crisp, that she saw it too, right over there. One flash, then gone. No more hesitation. I order the vehicle stopped. There is no reason for a reflection in the open desert. It is not sand. There is something there. If it is close, I want to look. As the vehicle stops, everyone wakes up one by one. Na Bing wipes her mouth dizzily, face still creased from sleep, and scrambles up asking what is wrong. I tell her there might be something out there. I am already off the bike and walking to the edge of the road to estimate distance. Estimating by feel in the desert is unreliable, because distances out here lie. So before going anywhere, the first step is the math. At this temperature, I figure I can walk at most half a kilometer before I have to turn back, which means the flashing sand dune cannot be more than 500 meters away. I find a near dune with a similar shape to the distant one, eyeball its height at about 5 meters, then compare to the far dune. Visual size of a dune is inversely proportional to distance. The far dune is about 1/3 the apparent height, which puts it somewhere between 200 and 300 meters, and even with heat distortion no more than 400. Workable. I tell the team I will take a few people. Song Ah volunteers immediately. Dong Yan puts on her homemade sun hat and follows. I nod. Take a makeshift backpack made from old clothes off the bike, throw in a few water bottles, grab a stone spear, and hang a crowbar at my waist. Before stepping off, I point the dune out to everyone, hand Na Bing one walkie-talkie so she can watch from the road, and keep the other on me. With Na Bing standing on the roof, I can stay in her field of vision even when dunes block mine. 3 is enough. More girls want to come, but I refuse. We are not going to fight. We are going to look. Luck, healing, and my strength is plenty. Anything more is a burden. As we walk, I ask Song Ah if she feels anything. No, she says, but she really wants to go see. Then it is a sure thing, Dongyan says, anticipation in her voice. There is treasure. I tell them not necessarily. We still have to stay cautious. What if it is a monster? A flash like that, if it was real, should have been visible across an angle, not a single blink. Strange that it could not be replicated from any angle on the road. 100 meters in and all three of us are drenched. It feels like walking inside an oven, heat rising from the ground almost like flames, air distorted and shimmering. Dongyan cannot take it and starts pouring water over her head. Song Ah and I do the same to keep moving. Exploring this desert on foot is brutal. Even so, I make Song Ah and Dongyan hold spacing, the three of us in a line 2 meters apart, in case of quicksand. Na Bing's voice comes through the walkie-talkie. Keep it up. You are close to the target. I copy and start studying the ground. The dune ahead should be it, but there is nothing different aside from sand. Then I notice, the sand under my feet is slightly off color from everywhere else around. It is also coarser, and the quartz grains inside are obvious. Wait, could the flash have been a large piece of quartz? If it was pure enough, it would be like natural glass and a reflection would make sense. I crouch to examine the grains. A hint text emerges. I have discovered an anomaly. The sand here is significantly different in composition, indicating a special rock layer underneath. Below is an abandoned mine shaft. The entrance is 10 meters to my left, currently half buried by drifting sand. Inside there is a small amount of dried corpse remains and some scorpionic biological activity. Sandworms prowl beneath the nearby dunes. Overall danger level is low as long as we do not provoke them. The mine contains iron ore, copper ore, and a small amount of rare minerals. My eyes light up. We desperately need ore. With iron ore, the whole bite can be reinforced and we can produce more iron weapons. I wave Song Ah and Dong Yan over and walk fast to the indicated spot. I poke the sand with the spear and the grains trickle away, revealing an entrance reinforced with a wooden frame. Almost at the same time, a scorpion the size of a fist scuttles from the edge of the entrance back into the shaft, and I notice its carapace is covered in a layer of crystal-like substance. That is what flashed. Once I confirm there is no danger, I lean into the cave entrance and shine the flashlight in. As I crawl in, a skeletal face lunges down and almost touches my nose. I shout something profane, jump from the shock, and instinctively punch it away. Song Ah and Dong Yan, guarding the entrance, hear me yell and grab my ankles and yank me out. I compose myself and force calm, telling them it was nothing, just a false alarm, that someone died near the entrance. Looking back on it, I am annoyed at myself. Startled by a skeleton, I take a breath and crawl back in. Sure enough, a skeleton is propped against the wall just inside the entrance, and I must have brushed it when I crawled in, which tipped it forward into me. I mutter to myself that I still cannot get careless. That almost gave me a heart attack. I sweep the flashlight around. Most of the entrance is buried by sand, but the interior is roomy. A tunnel about 2 meters high and 2 wide. The skull I punched rolled a short distance away. I crawl over and pick it up. It is heavy. Looking closely, there are black spots on the cranium. Wait, was this man poisoned? I drop the skull. The teeth are pitch black and there is a short arrow lodged between the ribs. The arrow is all metal, finely made, reflecting cold light under the flashlight. The body has completely skeletonized, but the arrow has no rust. I pull it free, weighty in my hand. The hint logs a fine steel short arrow, originally coated with a lethal poison. The cause of death is obvious. The poor man ran from deep underground, hit the poison just steps from the exit, and dropped. Then again, the outside would have killed him too. The desert is no kinder than the tunnel. Dong Yan squats by the corpse, curious, and wonders out loud if he could be an underground native, a human from this world. Probably, I tell her. A pity none of us are doctors or we could study him. Na Bing's voice cuts in on the walkie-talkie, clear as ever, that she will send someone over, that there is a girl on the team who used to be a doctor who can examine the body and bring the mining tools at the same time. This walkie-talkie really does hold a signal deep underground. I tell her, good. Have them follow our tracks and move fast. No problem, she says. She will also send a bottle of cola. Do not overwork myself. Then asks seriously how long we will stay. She has to allocate supplies on time. If we are here a while, she can build simple wooden sheds off the bikes for proper lying down rest. I scan the ore vein direction quickly. 2 hours of mining at most. Then we leave regardless. She copies and starts prepping the supply run. Song Ah cheers. She has pulled a rusty iron pickaxe out of the sand pile next to the corpse, along with a worn-out cloth bag. She opens the bag and a blue gem the size of a 1 yen coin rolls out. It is multifaceted, 3-dimensional, glowing soft blue in the dim tunnel, like condensed deep-sea water. Held in the palm, a faint cool radiates from it, eating the surrounding heat. The hint reads sapphire, a precious magical material. Adds 1 to 3 points of water magic effects to an item or grants additional abilities to those with water talent. Carrying it slightly amplifies water talent. Good stuff. I light up. This is the precious mineral the hint warned about. I had figured I would dig it out myself, but apparently the underground native dug it up and waited here for me years ago. Sama smiles and says, with this Nangchu can produce more water, the road will be easier. Exactly. Even half a bottle more per person per day saves lives. I tell Sama to keep searching nearby and go ahead to check the ore vein. I raise the flashlight and the beam scrapes across faint metallic glints on the walls. The ore looks like Earth's pyrite and copper ore. I step up and confirm. Pyrite, with a little copper ore mixed in. Before digging, I keep exploring. The tunnel slopes down and goes deep, and in the dark forks branch off and fist-sized scorpions scurry across the beam. A hint surfaces. The tunnel leads to a large underground mine with a vast amount of ore and tools. The area ahead contains enemies I currently cannot handle. Continuing forward may be fatal. Understood. Not for me yet. I retreat with peace of mind, lift the pickaxe and aim at the edge of the shimmering metallic ore on the wall. The pickaxe hits and stone chips fly. I first test the rock for stability so it does not collapse, then grip the handle in both hands and breathe deep. The muscles in my arms, shoulders, and back surge and bulge as if I have expanded a whole size, my fibers cast like iron in the dim light. I swing fierce, and the tip bores into the rock layer like an electric drill, peeling off large chunks of ore. The hint pings iron ore, then copper ore. As the materials come in, the synthesis hints refresh. Crude iron ingot equals 3 units of iron ore. Crude copper ingot equals 3 units of copper ore. That tells me something. Those neatly stacked crude ingots in the abandoned camp earlier were probably smelted on the spot with a synthesis platform. Song Ah and Dong Yan stand at the entrance and stare. This is the first time they have actually seen me at full strength. Brother Bai, your muscles, Dong Yan says. You could lift me with one finger. She eyes the abs and looks like she might try to reach out and touch them, but with stone chips flying they have to retreat and watch from a distance. Watching the ore pile up, I am overjoyed. The most practical use for my strength turns out not to be combat but mining. This is not ore, this is bicycle armor, weapon blades, the capital to survive. I do not feel tired. The kind of labor an ordinary person grits through. I run like morning calisthenics. The only trouble is the dust, thick enough that I have to stop and let it settle. The pit is cooler than the surface, and a breeze rises from the depths now and then. I suspect most creatures in this world live underground because the climate down here is much more livable than above. With Song Ah, Dong Yan, and me having already cleared the path, Nang Chu's support team moves fast. 15 minutes later, she is at the mine with over 30 people, all carrying iron pickaxes and backpacks full of water, ready to work without a break. The closer they get, though, the more confused they look. The sound out of the cave is too loud and too rhythmic. It does not sound like a person. When they round the last dune and see the scene, the whole group freezes. The entrance is exposed in the middle of the dune, just widened, and a large pile of ore is stacked outside, silver and gold glinting under the sun. From inside the mine come heavy rhythmic impacts that sound like a machine. Each thud shakes the walls and trickles dust off the entrance. The rhythm is too steady to be human, more like a tireless excavator pounding underground. Is that really Brother Bai mining? One girl murmurs. He probably found a machine. Another says that it sounds like the drills that bore holes in the ground. Nang Chu walks fast to the entrance and looks in. Deep down the shaft, the flashlight beam reveals a dust-covered back with muscle lines cast like steel. My arms turn the pickaxe into an afterimage. Each strike peels off a section of wall, and the rolling ore, the dull thud of pickaxe tip into rock, and my deep breathing layer over each other in a primal rhythm. When I bend down to gather power, the muscles of my abdomen contract and then snap with a sudden twist, the back and hip lines tightening and exploding like a drawn bow. Nang Chu feels her scalp tingle a little and her heart skip a few beats. The floor is also already scattered with ore, and clearly the heap outside is only a fraction of what I have pulled in these 10+ minutes. More girls crowd in. Is Brother Bai turning into a human pile driver, one says? Another says no wonder he wanted the synthesis platform dragged here. At this rate, moving raw ore alone would kill us. A third notes my waist looks too powerful. Nang Chu coughs slightly and tells them loudly to stop daydreaming. Group 1 moves ore to the synthesis platform with Zhang Qian running synthesis. Group 2 moves the iron ingots. The support team uses a thick wooden board as a base and drags the synthesis platform over like a sled. 3 pieces of ore equal 1 metal ingot, so weighing it, I decided dragging the platform here was less work and safer than hauling sharp, irregular raw ore back. Nobody has gloves and barely anyone has clothing, and freshly dug ore cuts on contact. Dragging the platform is easier, safer, more stable. With this many hands, the ore at the entrance is cleared fast, and the team funnels into the mine one after another to escape the heat. I keep mining. A rotation moves ore to the platform for synthesis, and once ingots stack up they get sledded back to the road. Working in the mine is better than the ruins. I do not rest. I knock back a cola and go right back at it. Dig, dig, dig with everything. A few scorpions get disturbed and crawl up from the depths, but I follow the hints and ignore them, and they do not dare approach. My pace is fast enough that the girls are barely keeping up moving the ore. The bolder ones stare openly, and when I take a break they race each other to bring me water and cola. When I tilt my head back to drink, water sliding down my jaw and along my chest and abs, the gasps from the small crowd are not exactly subtle, but resources are not infinite. I have underestimated my own digging speed. After nearly an hour, the ore goes sparse, intermittent. With my geology background, I know what that means. This branch vein has ended. Keep digging and there will be more rock than metal, and it is not worth it. There is a larger main vein deep underground, but what I have been digging is a small branch reaching to the surface, and the deep stuff is not for my current strength. I stop the pickaxe, still wanting more. The haul is fat. 20 crude iron ingots, 4 crude copper ingots, 1 crude silver ingots, 1 fine steel arrow, 1 precious sapphire. Iron ore is the bulk, but with good luck copper and iron often run with a little silver. Altogether, this is on par with the harvest of a single station, and one of the resource-rich ones at that. With 3 stations done, our running total already matches what other convoys would have after 4 or more. Compared to anyone else, this is a huge lead. I am in a great mood. I wave for everyone to pack up. If not for my strength and the team's headcount, none of this trip would have been possible. Most convoys would be helpless in front of a mine like this, just staring at resources they cannot move. Dragging the synthesis platform alone takes a group. Even a strong individual would waste at least half an hour each round trip. Hidden resource points that need cooperation in numbers can only be cleared by a team like ours. As we pack, Song-ah walks up with a smile and says she has found another good treasure. I smile back. Bringing Song-ah really does mean a trail of surprises all the way. Guess what it is, she says, biting her lip with pride. I look around. Nothing. Her hands are empty. The familiar setup makes my heart stir. Holy crap, I cannot help glancing excitedly at the snowy white of her chest. Her face turns red and she punches my shoulder lightly, annoyed, telling me no, guessed wrong. She stops teasing, clicks her tongue against the roof of her mouth in a quick da-da-da sound, and a rustling answers from the dark depths of the mine, followed by a series of slight da-da returns. A fist-sized scorpion slowly crawls out of the shadows. I see it clearly for the first time. Its milky white carapace is wrapped in a translucent crystal-like layer that shines under the flashlight, and at the end of its tail is a sharp, beautiful crystal stinger. It looks like a piece of art carrying a heart-fluttering kind of dangerous beauty. Song-ah reaches out without fear, and the crystal scorpion crawls onto her palm, stinger curling submissively behind its back. How is it, she says, lifting her chin with pride. Isn't it great? I had expected another crystal ball. A living native creature is the first organism we have found in this world, which is more amazing. I look at her, envious. Her luck is heaven-defying. She shakes her head. The credit this time goes to Dong-yeon. Dong-yeon found this crystal scorpion first, but it was being attacked by several larger scorpions and was already heavily wounded. We arrived in time and Dong-yeon stepped in to heal it. Song-ah gently flips the scorpion over, and the abdominal crystal shell is cracked in places. One patch completely shattered. It just took a beating. Now that we saved it, it seems willing to follow us. She looks up, eyes hopeful, and asks if she can keep it as a pet. I nod. Keeping it is fine, but this kind of scorpion is venomous and it is not small, so the threat is real. I am not sure if there are hidden problems. She admits frankly even a well-trained dog can bite, let alone a scorpion. But she interacted with it long enough to know that it understands commands shockingly fast. Its intelligence feels close to a puppy's. She thinks with training it can become an asset. She looks at me seriously and says she wants to try, so she can back me up in fights later. And also, although the venom is not immediately fatal, it causes total paralysis and weakness and the sting site swells fast. We can coat weapons with it. A precious resource that might matter when we clash with other convoys. Valuable, I agree. Expression turning serious. Then ask how she is so clear about the venom's effects. Her face stiffens. I was in a hurry to save it, she says, and got stung. She looks up, eyes apologetic but not flinching, and apologizes. Our exploration rules say absolutely no provoking underground creatures, and she knew it and did it anyway. I am angry, but mostly afraid. I tell her not to ever do that again, not to keep daring danger because of the luck talent, because she will crash sooner or later. But what if I just have that feeling? She says, soft voice, soft expression, firm eyes. Did I not tell her myself to follow her feelings and leave the rest to luck? She saw the scorpion was pitiful and saved it without thinking. The look on her face says she was wrong. She admits it. She apologizes, and she will do the same thing again next time. I get a headache. What if the venom had been highly potent and Dong-yeon could not save you in time? Then there is nothing that can be done, she answers, then looks at me directly. Am I also not taking risks? Am I so certain I will never die just because I act on hints? She tells me she knows I mean well, but everyone on the team should carry risk. Nobody is less expendable. If she dies, that is her bad luck. But if luck is on our side, we have an extra trump card. Her cheeks flush as she gets going. And, she says, more excited, she does not want to keep watching me be the only main combatant. I have already done enough, but enemies are many and strong. She heard what Wengang said. Lone wolves with that many resources must be strong. When she saw me mining just now, she thought, if there is a chance, she has to share some of the pressure with me, or at least not hold me back. As soon as it leaves her mouth, she realizes she sounds too eager and might be misunderstood. She quickly walks it back. She means everyone should carry their share, not just her. Everyone can help, do not always try to take it all on alone. I look at her and cannot help smiling. I agree with the words. It is unrealistic to expect zero risk in this world. With a lucky girl like her willing to help me, what reason do I have to refuse? I reach out my hand to her. Song. Ah, then let us stand side by side. Hey, 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 the walkie-talkie in my hand crackles. What are you two whispering about? Hurry back. Na Bing's voice barely suppresses laughter. Song Ah's vision goes dark. No way. It was fine if I heard it, but did her words just get broadcast live? She wants to dig a sandpit and bury herself on the spot. I am stunned too and copy that. Casual. The walkie-talkie cannot be turned off. Open comms is a basic safety rule. We walk out of the mine and start the return. On the way, Song Ah tries putting the crystal scorpion down, and it follows us at a fast, even pace, agile and stable. The scorpion really does live up to native creature. Ground temperature of over 60 has no effect on it, and it only listens to Song Ah. When anyone else tries to call or direct it, it ignores them completely. The luck attribute is simply irrational. I wonder if Song Ah, through some mysterious probability, happened to gain the chance of being recognized by this scorpion at the moment it almost died. Either way, trained properly, it might matter. As for food, the answer is also special: sand, specifically the quartz crystals inside the grains. The higher the purity and the more translucent the better, which is probably tied to how its crystal carapace forms. Back at the vehicle, looking at the piles of metal ingots, I rub my hands. Time for my favorite part, upgrading and strengthening. I cackle softly to myself. Baby car, where do I prioritize you this time? Should I make your waist more powerful, or should I make your perky butt a bit bigger first? I cannot wait. I reach out and touch the bicycle. The vehicle had changed shape a dozen times under my hands by now, but the hint kept whispering that there was still vast room to grow. The combined upgrade path branched out in front of me like a tree, every limb a different way to push the combined bicycle further, and the order did not matter because every branch was reachable. Frame upgrades for strength and handling, shell upgrades for protection at the cost of wind resistance, suspension for comfort, copper for power, sapphire for who knew what kind of miracle. I cracked open a bottle of cola, sat in the driver's seat, and let the sugar do its work on my brain. Two options pulled me harder than the rest. One was using the sapphire on the vehicle itself, which the hint warned would be a gamble on something equivalent to a 50-person frame. A permanent comfort boost that might end up so faint I would never feel it. The other was offensive, mounting crossbows on the roof and sides, reinforcing the hubs, fitting tire shredding spikes. Both were the hint tier options that had not surfaced before, and both were the kind of upgrade a man could fall in love with. Comfort especially, because comfort in a desert that boiled at 55 degrees was the difference between a team that fought and a team that collapsed. But the sapphire could also go to Nang Chu instead, and that was the route my mind had been circling from the start. Inject the gem straight into the girl, and she became more watery, more useful, mobile in a way the vehicle could never be. I shelved the gem for last, and burned through the rest of the upgrade list first. The whole bicycle flared with a soft white light that streamed toward the metal ingots stacked nearby. The frame and hubs thickened on consumption of 8 crude iron ingots, the strength bumping up sharply. The suspension consumed 5 more and gave me springs, killing the worst of the jolts. A narrow aisle opened down the middle of the vehicle. The seat pairs in each row merged into wider benches, and the copper coils inside the electric motor swapped for silver wire, sucking less power for more output. I added a large crossbow on the second row, iron-bodied with inner tube rubber bands for power. The bolts converted from stone spears. The generator got a copper boost so it would charge faster. The only thing I could not touch was the dried corpse on the treadle, who remained a dried corpse. By the end of the round, I had emptied 20 crude iron ingots and 1 silver ingot, leaving exactly 2 copper to my name. Metal hoarded was metal wasted. My rule was to spend everything, every time. I lifted the sapphire out of my pocket and held it in my palm. A trace of coolness spread up my hand. Almost a luxury in this sweltering hell. The kind of cold that told me precious materials really were magical. Now the decision. I looked across at Nang Chu, sitting not far from the vehicle, and the hint obliged me on cue, telling me that giving her the sapphire directly would grant her a water control ability tied to her current grade B talent, controllable range of 5 meters, and that her favorability toward me would climb, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I held off and turned my gaze on Song Ah. The hint shifted at once. Under her luck blessing, Nang Chu had a probability of pulling an additional water element affinity constitution, the kind of thing that ignored talent restrictions outright, gave a water control range of 10 meters, sharpened her perception of water everywhere, and let her summon a low-tier water element creature whose duration scaled with spiritual power. My eyes lit up. This was the way. Before I could call Nang Chu over, a second hint floated up beside her. Under Song Ah's luck, if I let the crystal scorpion poison Nang Chu first, and then handed over the sapphire, she would also pick up toxin resistance on the back end. I stared. It could be done like this? Without the hint, no one in any version of this world would have stumbled on such a combination. The benefits had already eclipsed strengthening the bicycle, so I stopped hesitating, smiled at Nang Chu, and gestured her over. She came at a half jog, addressing me as Brother Bai, the excitement on her face barely held in check, having already heard about the sapphire from the others. I told her I wanted to give it to her but that we needed to complete 2 small rituals first, and then I told Song-ah that I needed her help for both. I laid out the hint for them. The short version was that Song-ah and her pet each had to plant a kiss on Ningqiu. The two of them shocked into a beat of silence, then glanced at each other, cheeks coloring. I called Dong Yun over to stand guard nearby just in case, then told them to get on with it. Song-ah drew a soft breath and pressed a gentle kiss to Ningqiu's cheek, the crystal scorpion lifting its stinger at the same moment and giving her arm a light prick. Ningqiu's body shuddered and she fell straight back. I caught her waist with one hand and pressed the sapphire to her chest with the other. The gem melted and a soft blue halo seeped down into her skin. Ethereal waves and faint singing rose somewhere behind my ears, the sound of a cool seaside breaking against my palm in subtle ripples, and a chill spread out from where the sapphire had been. Even as a bystander, I could feel the power. This was what slept inside the gem. When the blue light dissipated, I looked down. Ningqiu was staring up at me with bright eyes, and my hand was still pressed firmly against her chest. I did not pull back right away. With a calm expression, I held the contact a moment longer, confirming what I already suspected. Her body temperature had dropped. Where my palm rested, what should have felt soft and sweltering and sticky, was instead radiating coolness. I lifted my hand. Her fair skin was free of sweat, only a faint red mark left behind from the gem. I asked her how she felt. She stood up flushed, unable to tell whether it was shyness or the rush of the change, and she told me it had been magical, that at first she had felt anesthetized and unable to move. But the moment I pressed the gem into her chest, her consciousness had returned, and now she felt comfortable in a way she had never known before. The heat around her had lifted, the air almost cool. I nodded and told her it was no illusion, that her core temperature had probably dropped to around 20 degrees, though the contrast with the surrounding furnace might be coloring the sensation. At 20 degrees, an ordinary person would be cold and stiff, and effectively dead. She was not ordinary anymore. She thanked me with her whole face, telling me the ability was stronger than a talent, that she felt refreshed in a way she could not articulate, that her constitution had been fundamentally changed, that she could sense water around her as plainly as sight. There was more, she said, like a mysterious knowledge that was also an instinct, a window onto another world. She raised her hand tentatively. The sand under her feet trembled, and a spring of water surged up out of nothing. It condensed in the air, and a creature took shape, a translucent jellyfish, its bell light and graceful, its tentacles drifting like ribbons. The jellyfish pulsed, and a layer of pale blue ripples spread out from its bell. The wave crossed me, and a film of cool water vapor settled on my skin like morning fog, the surrounding temperature dropping in a visible band. I looked down at the fine moisture clinging to me and could not help muttering an oath under my breath. It was practically a biological air conditioner with a humidifier built in. The team had been wilting in the heat a minute ago. Now their heads came up in unison as the cool ring rolled out, and the whole convoy gravitated toward Ningqiu and her drifting jellyfish. Hands lifted to catch the mist, voices rising about wanting to strip down on the spot, but they calmed quickly. It was vapor only, not enough to bathe in, just enough to wash the worst of the heat off the skin. I stepped forward and paced out the radius. About 5 meters in every direction, a sphere of cool water elements centered on the jellyfish's body. Our vehicle was 2 meters wide. If we let the jellyfish drift slowly back and forth down the center aisle, everyone could take turns under its rain full-body cool air every minute or so. The only catch was the open frame. To cut wind resistance, I had kept the shell off, which meant full-time air conditioning was off the table for now. If the abandoned gas station coughed up an engine, a real shell became possible, and the team was already looking past this checkpoint at the next. A girl whispered that a bathtub would be the dream. Someone laughed that an open-air toilet would be a miracle. The morale of the convoy was lifting visibly under the new cool smiles surfacing all around. Ningqiu held the floor and asked the others to guess how she had earned the ability. Once their eyes were on her, she explained the whole thing in detail, crediting me at every turn. The constitution was called Water Element Affinity, she said, and it let her call a water elemental from another plane that gave a 5-meter radius of cooling vapor, sustainable for about 10 hours a day without any burden. She paused, voice clear and steady. With this, their lives were about to get easier. Then she emphasized again that the method had been mine, that I had used my own talent to observe and summarize a unique set of upgrade paths, and that the magic of it was not limited to her, that anyone who pulled their weight and brought back the right materials would have the chance to be cultivated by me too. Every girl in the convoy lit up. Beside the respect and gratitude they already carried, a new heat entered their eyes, the kind that did not pretend to hide itself. Who would not want what Ningqiu had just received? A bold one shouted that she wanted to be cultivated by Brother B right now. Another asked what counted as performing well. The second voice belonged to Yu Chun-ri, a tall and bright-eyed girl whose spiritual power sat at 20 points, but whose talent was the C-grade arson, a talent that was a joke in a 55-degree desert. And she had been quietly miserable about it. Her figure and her face were not behind anyone, and her attributes outclassed half the team, but the gifts had never reached her. She did not blame me. Resources were what they were, and I could not pull gems out of thin air. She had simply not yet found her angle. Watching Nangchu's transformation, she pondered whether she ought to play the squeaky wheel. I raised my hand and the convoy hushed. I told them I had already considered motivation, that going forward they could compete for opportunities, that those who turned up hidden sites or carried the convoy through trouble would move to the front of the cultivation line on my assessment. The instant the words landed, the convoy was buzzing. I added that everyone should focus on cooperating with Song-Ah for exploration, since it was her luck that had brought up the sapphire in the first place. More resources, more cultivation slots. The girls cheered, half of them already promising to drag back anything that was not nailed down, one shouting that she was going to find resources and beg to be cultivated immediately. Nangchu cut through the noise and called them to order so I could finish. With the convoy fully mobilized, I used the moment to announce new management adjustments.